Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 143, the end of the year extravaganza. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and joining me tonight, Ben Boyce and Bender Holt. And who's this guy? Oh, looky here. Francis Ayler decides to hang out with us for the year-end finale. Frankie, welcome back, buddy. How you doing?
All right. It's been a long month.
I know it has, man. You've been busy with work, but you found a little opening to be here with us tonight, and we love you for it, man. We miss you. The beard is going strong. Strong
Yes.
beard.
Yes. We're nearing, was it February 23rd? Is that when I get the urge to shave? Yes, we're getting there.
Man, I'm curious to see what that thing looks like on February 23rd, dude. I think we got to get one final shot, like one more picture on Twitter of how you look with that thing on February 23rd if you don't touch it, because you're going to look like just incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I've been touching it up because, it gets to a point where it's just in the way. So.
I hate it when like the top of my beard here touches my nose hairs, and then you're just constantly, you're like, and you're just like sneezing and all that stuff. Yeah.
You get that stray nose hair that's a little too long and they tangle up.
Mm-hmm. Boys, do you have that problem?
No, I don't.
How you doing, boys?
Good, man.
Yeah?
Long time no talk.
I know. We talked last night.
Wow. We did.
Yes. Quick shameless plug. Right now on our YouTube channel is our Star Wars The Last Jedi spoiler cast. Boyce and I sat down and talked about some of the aspects of the movie that have proven to be quite polarizing and amongst the community. So if you haven't seen the movie, go see it first, then come back and watch the video and sign off in the comments. We want to get your thoughts. Like I said, Star Wars The Last Jedi is again quite a polarizing title. There's fans that love it and there's fans that don't love it, and it's gonna vary on an individual basis. So go check it out, and then when you get a chance, come back, watch our discussion, and make sure you chime in the comments below. We want to hear. It should be a very good discussion if we get people involved.
It's a great spoiler cast, if I do say so myself.
Yes, it is. So
Totally unbiased.
Absolutely. And so, end shameless plug. Let's bounce over, Mr. Holt. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. It's good to be here on the show again.
Yeah, as with everybody, we're all here, so that's what's spectacular. Yeah. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We've got a nice new release list. We've got some news we got to talk about, and then we're going to talk about our favorite games of 2017. We've got codes to give away. We have quite a few codes to give away tonight, so make sure you tune into the whole show. We'll have some of them. We'll give out the code. Others will require you to do something. Nothing dirty, I promise, unless Boyce wants to get involved, and then it might get a little gross. But
oh my,
I know, right? And then there'll be some that might just appear on the screen as we're talking. So we have a lot of codes, a lot of stuff to give away, a lot of stuff to discuss. But first, let's talk about what we've been playing. Frankie, you've been playing Life, and that's just the lamest game ever, so we're not going to ask you what you've been playing.
I did actually finish something
that
I haven't talked about yet.
Well, let's back it up. Let's go to Frankie first.
I played through Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus.
Ooh, you dog, you. I'm so jelly.
That's I've been chipping away at that throughout the month. Finally finished it, I think, last Sunday night, maybe. So that was cool. It's kind of weird because 2014 was an awesome year with Shadow of Mordor and The New Order. Both games I was very excited about sequels for. Wolfenstein more so than
Destiny.
than Shadow of Mordor, but it's weird because at the end of this, I actually really enjoyed Shadow of War, but Wolfenstein, I enjoyed the story, but I didn't feel like the gameplay was that great in this one. I don't know. I don't know if you've played a lot of it yet, but I felt like this one I resorted more to hiding behind things and using the lean system to kill people because aiming down the sights is useless, and Blazkowicz doesn't really take a hit very well. So, but the story is really cool. It's a really good setup for the third game. whenever that finally comes out. And I picked up the season pass, so I downloaded the Adventures of Joe or whatever that came out last
Gunslinger
week.
Joe, I think it is.
Gunslinger, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna make an attempt to actually play season pass stuff for a change. So hopefully I can find some time to get in there and check that out too. But yeah, knock that one off the list. That was cool.
Well, that's good. That's an excellent game. I'm very jealous of you. That's one I still need to finish. Now, I got to ask you, what difficulty did you play it on? Because I started it on the middle one, and I was getting my ass kicked pretty consistently.
I think it was the middle one.
That game is excruciatingly tough, even on the middle settings. And I've heard
Yeah.
that the higher settings are rage-inducing.
The one of the last areas, especially, I probably spent a good half hour trying to like run back and forth to defeat the enemies that I was trying to take down, because like they'll destroy you in one hit. And like I'm running around here, I have like no armor, like 20 health, so I'm like kind of hiding because I'm out of sight and like taking pot shots at this stupid thing. It was really frustrating and really drawn out, but it was nice to hit the finish line. A lot of crazy shit happens in this game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. I'm waiting for one of you to finish it. There's just stuff that happens. I was just like, what? Like I was talking to Mike from NLG because he'd finished it, and he kept saying like, dude, when you finish this game, we have to talk. There's a lot of stuff. And it's like as I'm playing it, I messaged him like, dude, like I'd type something, I'd be like, that's just a sentence that I typed. That shouldn't make sense to anybody. So yeah, they do some crazy stuff in this game.
Yeah, I've been trying to avoid the spoilers, but I mean, it's hard not to when you see people say, "Did this just really just happen in Wolfenstein?" I'm just like, I didn't read what happened, but I'm just like, okay, there is some crazy stuff that goes on in that game. So, from what little I have played, I just met the woman who has the baby and the guy that she's with, and we just got back to like the base after that boss battle at their hideout or wherever they were at. So that's where I left off. But I really enjoyed what I played so far, and that's one of the games I'm going to try to get to here in January. So as I make my way down this shameful backlog list. So, but that's awesome, dude. I'm glad you were able to get some gaming in and actually go through and beat a game, dude. That's really good to hear. Mr. Boyce, what have you been playing, buddy?
Not too much this week. We did fire up Gang Beasts on the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight. You joined me for that one, Brent. We had a little co-op stream, and that game is as wacky as everybody says it is. So, it's it's you play as these weird like gelatinous creatures, and there's not a whole lot that you can do with them. It's all physics based, so like to basically you're trying to throw people out of the ring. Like there's different levels you have. You're trying to get them outside of the arena, and that's how you win the match. But to throw people, you got to use physics. So you got to grab somebody with your guy, and you got to get kind of a running start in order to throw them out off the level. You can't simply just pick them up and do like a throwing motion. You got to grab them and run and try to get some momentum to try and get them off the cliff. And it's just it's a purposefully awkward game. So something as simple as like climbing up a wall or out of like a danger area is extremely difficult. Punching, headbutting, just all the weird stuff that your characters do is pretty wild in that game. So it's definitely a fun and wacky multiplayer game. Something that if you got a group of people and get them together and hop in there, it's going to be a lot of fun for you guys. So it was fun to play through that. The game was plagued by network issues when we initially played it. We were playing it on release night there on Tuesday. So they were aware of the issues. I haven't hopped back in since then, so I don't know if they've been addressed at this point, but I know they were working on them. So if they haven't been addressed, they will be addressed in the near future here. So it was difficult. We never got a chance to play a soccer match, which I was really looking forward to, because we couldn't get in there into the server for that one. But overall, it's just a weird, wacky game, and it's a great party game for sure.
Yeah, I was playing it with you, and it's hilarious. Like, I had zero expectations of this game, knew little about it, and hopping in there and playing it, I mean, it was a laugh riot. And this is in despite of the network issues that we kept bumping into. But when we were in a game and it was working, man, it was hilarious to play. And that would be a fantastic party game because it's 2 to 8 players online, but it's 4-player local co-op. Yeah. So you can play locally with friends and that's a fantastic party game because the one thing I liked about the game was just the variety of the levels. I mean, these levels are dynamic. There's hazards you got to watch out for. There's, there's one level on a freeway. You're bouncing between two trucks on a freeway, and then another one's got like this grinder in the middle of the room, and you can throw people and they get grinded up. And it's just, an incredibly fun game to play when it's working. And like you mentioned, we haven't jumped into it since then, so it could very well be fixed and could be working properly. But in terms of fun and laughs, you can't go wrong with Gang Beast.
Yeah, it's a neat game. It's been on PC for a while. People have been talking about it for years. So nice that it finally made its way over to consoles. The video's up on our YouTube page. So if you want to check out that game in action, make sure you hop on over there, check it out. You can check out this week's Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight.
Mm-hmm. You play anything else?
No, that's it, man. It's the only thing I got a chance to hop into this week.
Yeah, other than playing that with you, I've just been mainly playing PUBG on Xbox One, and it's basically what I talked about last week. It's just it's in rough shape, but it's playable, and there's no doubting that the premise of PUBG is very exciting for myself, anyways. And I know there's a lot of people that feel obviously 24 million copies sold. But, no, it's going to take a while. It's going to be a while for that game until it gets to where it needs to be. But it's just cool to be able to play something like that on console. And I'm enjoying my time with it despite all its imperfections at this time. So, and nothing new to report from PUBG. It's still PUBG. It's still in, early access, and it shows. But there's no doubt, and we'll talk about it a little bit later in the news, this thing has done very well on Xbox One. And like I said, we'll address that later. But, Bender, let's come over to you. You've actually been playing quite a bit lately. You've got quite a few games under your belt right now, but I know there's a couple of specifically you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I've been playing several things lately, but just figured I'd throw out a couple of them that I could talk about today. I've played I've gotten through about 15 hours, almost 20 hours of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on the Switch. Came out at the beginning of this month. It's really cool so far. I like it for the most part. If you like the previous Xenoblade games, you'll probably like this one too. The story is kind of similar to the concept is kind of similar to the first Xenoblade, where there's these titans that they're the only landmass. The whole world is like an ocean, giant ocean, and the only landmass is these titans that wander around. In the first Xenoblade, it was these two titans that killed themselves fighting, and then people started living on their bodies. But in this one, there's actually like kind of animal shaped titans that actually are still alive and moving around, and people live on them. But there's, the titans are dying off, so there's fewer and fewer places to live because these titans are falling into the ocean. So you plays this guy named Rex, and he's a salvager, so he dives into the sea and looks for treasure. And he finds this people use these living weapons called blades, and they kind of work together to fight. And he finds a blade called Pyra, and she's the Aegis she's like a legendary blade. So he teams up with her, and they have to find this tree that it's like a mythical tree that they think that it's going to be a place where everyone can live. And anyway, it's kind of a unique story, but it's got the same type of RPG mechanics that you expect from all the previous Xenoblade games, and I like it a lot. There's a couple of things that I've been a little bit frustrated with about it. For example, in the previous games, there was a setting where you could have like an icon over a monster's head, so you could see if it was going to be an aggressive one that would attack you on sight. That doesn't seem to be an option in this game, so you have to just take your chances. If you're running too close to a monster, it may attack you, it may not, and you just don't really know. And another thing I've noticed is that sometimes when you've got these waypoints that you have to that direct you where to go for the next mission, sometimes they're a little bit vague and you can't really tell where they're trying to point you at, and that can get a little bit frustrating. But by and large, I am enjoying the game. I know it's going to be a long game. It's going to take me a while to finish, but I've liked it so far, and I kind of fell off playing it a little bit when the Zelda DLC came out, but I'll go back to it and everything. But it's pretty good so far. Another thing I wanted to talk about was I got Okami HD for the PS4. Is it just re-released the game? Came out on PS2 originally back in like 2007, I believe. I originally played it on the Wii when they ported it to the Wii in 2008. So I haven't played it since, but I played it all the way through on the Wii. I really love the game, and I wanted to jump back into it. So it's almost like playing a new game. I still remember a few things about it, but for the most part, it's like brand new again. But it's a great game. It's got a really cool, unique art style. Everything looks like it was drawn with like a calligraphy brush on a scroll. So it's like very thick lines, and it's very unique, and it's very vivid colors and everything. But you play as this wolf called Amaterasu. She's the Japanese sun god, and you have to kind of save the land because it's being overtaken by evil forces and all that stuff. There's all kinds of funny characters in the game. It'll make you smile, and it's very strange Japanese type humor. But it's really good though. I'm enjoying the game. It's kind of a Zelda-like game where you explore the land, and you've got upgradable abilities, and as you play through, you unlock more and more things that you can do, more different abilities and upgrades, stuff like that. So it's a really great game. If you like Zelda games and games like that, I think you'll enjoy it. So it's definitely worth checking out, and it's only like $20, I think, at retail. So it's not too bad. So I guess it would be kind of bad if they charged $60 for a 10-year-old game, but I was glad that it was a good price, and it's definitely worth the money if you've never played that game. It's a really good game. But
no, that sounds really good. And I've been eyeing up Okami this past week, and I think I'm going to pull the trigger here coming up soon. Just got a 20% 20% discount from PlayStation, and you guys haven't gotten yours yet.
You're just the worst kind of person.
So I think I'm going to pick up Okami this week and check it out, because I know, Benner, you've spoken very highly of it. And it looks like it'd be a beautiful looking game. I know it's got pro enhancements and Xbox X enhancements too. So very cool stuff. Interested to see how that looks and plays out. But that's what we've been playing. Franklin, you're back. You're running the show with the new releases. What's coming out this week, buddy?
All right, so one of the first things we missed last week, this one actually snuck out of nowhere. Had no idea this was finally coming out, but Papers, Please, available now on the Vita. This is the 2013 immigration paper inspection game. So you're kind of going through and trying to figure out if these are legitimate papers to let people in and out of the country. So it's a very deep, like I don't want to call it like a real life sim, but like a life job sim type of game. So that's out on the Vita right now for $9.99. So if you're waiting for that, definitely go pick it up. Support that guy. Very cool dude. So
Vita means life.
Yes, it does. It's also Vita exclusive. No plans to bring it to PS4 or anything else.
Wow.
So.
I love that hashtag on Twitter whenever a Vita release comes out or something. Vita means life.
I never see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I see some people talking about that sometimes. I love it.
Awesome. Gorogoa is a Switch puzzle game. It's kind of like those little tile-based games where you slide tiles around to make a picture. That's what this looks like, with some really cool hand-drawn imagery. Unholy Heights is also on the Switch. This is a tower defense meets apartment management sim where you play as the landlord, the devil. Fearful Symmetry and the Cursed Prince is an Xbox One title. It's a puzzle game where you control two characters at once, but they're in different dimensions. Arcade Archives Neo Geo Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, available on the PS4 and Xbox One. Dungeon Defenders 2 had the Power of Ancients expansion, which is free. It adds a new mid-to-end game mode called Onslaught. There's a dynamically shifting map, tons of new cosmetic items for players to collect, so if you're playing Dungeon Defenders 2, definitely go check that one out. Pinball FX3, I don't know why I said 2. Type 2, meant 3. Pinball FX3 has a free pack available right now. It's the Carnival and Legends pack, which adds the tables Son of Zeus and Adventureland. This table's going to be free until Tuesday the 19th, so whether you're playing on Xbox, PS4, or Switch, go download that now. Save yourself $6.99. Get a couple free tables.
Need to write that down. I gotta make that down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And then Ghost Recon Wildlands, the Ghost War Jungle Storm update is out now. This added 2 new classes, ranked mode for the PvP, and 4 new maps for elimination and uplink modes. The other interesting thing that kind of came along with this, there's a Predator Challenge event running. So this is running from now until early January, where basically you're going to grab your squad and you're going to hunt down the ultimate hunter, the Predator. Brent, I know you're in the Wildlands. Have you tried this out yet?
I haven't, and I'm going to make a point to do this week. I got a guy at work who's really interested in this. He plays Ghost Recon Wildlands like crazy, and I'm curious to check this out. I watched the stream that Ubisoft did earlier this week, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit disappointed with ultimately what this is. I mean, I was kind of hoping for something a little bit deeper. I mean, it's the Predator IP. I mean, it's Predator. I mean, you can do whatever you want. This is the perfect setting for it. And basically what it is, it's just my man shows up in the jungle and he's a bullet sponge and he's a one-shot kill. So you have to just keep putting, keep shooting him until he's dead. There's nothing else that really appears to be going along with this. So you do get some cosmetic stuff, like you can get the Predator helmet, and I know there's a Predator class that's included, but you don't play as the Predator for PvP. It's more, I think the class is based more on Dutch, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. So, but I mean, there are some like cosmetic stuff, but basically you're just jumping into the jungle and there's the Predator, and it's just like this, almost like an arena style like combat. And you're just taking cover, and like I said, if he hits you with that laser, it's an automatic kill, so you have to revive your teammates. But you're basically he's just a huge bullet sponge. It doesn't really seem to be anything really, terribly deep about, which is kind of disappointing. But I definitely want to go in there and, like you said, hunt the greatest hunter of all time. So,
man, that sucks, man. I thought you were gonna have to actually like hunt the Predator and like find him
well, I mean, like technically, like what is, like they basically show this whole thing on the stream, but like you a mission will pop up on the map. It'll say go talk to a woman who said the jungle moved, and you go and talk to her, and she's like, oh this group of people were killed, this thing moved, and it came out of nowhere, and you have to go investigate like these 3 sites. You see the Predator ship is crashed at one, there's some skinned bodies at another, and then you come upon like an ammo box, and it's just this battle begins. You hear the Predator at all these different locations that you're investigating, and then it just leads to this one area, and you just battle the Predator. Like I said, it wasn't terribly deep, but I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess it can't go too deep with it, but I mean, considering the setting, I mean, you're in the jungle, just one encounter, and it doesn't seem like it's terribly difficult, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, they're boasting it as like the most challenging thing in the game right now. So
if that's the case, then that's awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. Just I guess I don't know what I was expecting from it. It just seemed a little shallow. But if it's an ultimate battle, like it's super tough, then I'm down with that. But it just doesn't seem like there's anything more to it.
Yeah, I'm kind of Ben. Like that's what I was thinking. Like you're actually trying to hunt him down. Like that sounds like he's just kind of there.
No, like he's like in the video, he's just basically standing there, and like you see the red laser, and like you have to see where the red laser is coming from. Then you pop a couple shots, and he just disappears, and he plops down somewhere else. You're just like, oh, okay, this is like whack-a-mole, I guess.
Wow.
The most dangerous mole.
It's kind of a bummer. Well, hopefully you get a chance to play it. Let us know how it is, I guess.
Absolutely, I'll stream it if I get a chance to.
Awesome. Cool. So on to a couple spotlight releases for this week. First one up is Brawlout. This will be hitting the Switch on Tuesday 19th. This is the latest in the kind of Smash Brothers inspired line of arena fighting games. This one features 6 original characters and 2 guest characters. Each of the 6 characters have 3 alternate versions of themselves, so they have different outfits, different moves, different stats. So you kind of essentially have a roster of 18 characters technically. Your guest characters in the game are going to be the Drifter from Hyper Light Drifter and Juan from Guacamelee. So this is preloadable now on the Switch for $19.99. Boyce, fellow fighting game advocate, where are you at with this thing? You picking this up on the Switch?
I don't know. I don't know a lot about Brawlout, but I do remember seeing about Hyper Light Drifter and Guacamelee being in this game, so I am definitely interested in this game. It's kind of meta to play a Smash Brothers clone on the Switch instead of playing like Smash Brothers. So that's kind of strange as we all anticipate and wait for Smash Brothers to come out. But yeah, I'd definitely be interested in hopping into this. I think this game looks cool, and I would love to play as Juan and wreck some people in a Smash Brothers game.
Bender, I know you're also a big Smash Brothers fan. Does this one grab you at all?
Yeah, actually, I was looking at some screenshots before the show, and It looks really cool. I think the character design is cool. I like that it has Juan and the Hyper Light Drifter characters. I think that's awesome. It looks like it could be a good time.
Yeah, I got it preloaded now, so if you guys pick it up and want to play sometime later this week, I'm down. Awesome. So yeah, look for that on the Switch on Tuesday. The other spotlight title this week, Life is Strange Before the Storm, Episode 3, Hell is Empty. This is going to conclude Deck Nine's prequel story. It's, of course, centered on the rebellious teen Chloe and her friendship with Rachel Amber, who we know of from the mainline Life is Strange game. Bender, I know you mentioned earlier that you would already... No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Just gotta have a drink of that Bailey's.
Yeah, Bender, I know you mentioned earlier that you've, I think you started dabbling with episode 1. Episode 3 is coming out on Wednesday. Where are you at with this? What are your thoughts on the first episode so far? Are you looking forward to playing through this?
Yeah, definitely. I actually started episode 1 because I saw that episode 3 was imminent. I was going to wait until all 3 were out, but I was like, you know what? By the time I go through episode 1 and 2, 3 will be out, and I'll be able to jump right into it. I actually have finished episode 1 and got all the trophies for it and everything. It's really cool so far. Obviously you're not playing as Max, so there's no time manipulation mechanics in this one, but you're playing as a younger Chloe and getting to know her better as a character and getting to know Rachel Amber as a character. I'm enjoying it so far. There's definitely some interesting choices they have to make, and as to the nature of their relationship and everything. And there's some cool moments in the thing. I don't want to spoil them or anything, but there's some really cool moments that I enjoyed a lot in this first episode. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking out episode 2 and 3 whenever it comes out and seeing how they wrap it all up. And more Life is Strange is a good thing in my book.
Awesome. I'm probably going to be playing this with Jen on New Year's because she's also a big fan of the first one. So I think we should do another spoiler cast when we're all done with this thing.
Oh, I agree. That's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, I'm game. So look forward to that sometime next year. All right. So let's get on with the rest of the list this week. 60 Seconds is a Monday release on the Switch. This is a dark comedy survival game. Coming on Tuesday, Accounting Plus will be available on PlayStation VR. This is that weird-looking dark adventure game we saw from Justin Roiland at PSX last week. Ultra Wings also hitting PSVR this week. This is the open-world aerial game that was announced at Paris Game Week. Kind of looks like a spiritual successor to it's a game I'm thinking of.
Pilot Wings.
Pilot Wings, that's it. Yes, I knew it was something Wings. Defunct will be hitting Xbox One on Tuesday. This is an adventure game where players will play as a little robot on a post-human Earth. It's actually cool. This is one of the first Sodesco games I think that got announced that wasn't like a PS4 retail game. This was like a PC game a couple years ago. So finally coming to consoles. Pretty excited about that. Crawl will be arriving on the Switch on Tuesday. Dragon Fangs, The Rose and the Dungeon of Time is a roguelike dungeon RPG. It'll also be available on the Switch. Xenon Valkyrie Plus is a roguelite platformer. It'll be hitting the Vita on Tuesday. Minecraft Story Mode, Season 2, Episode 5, Above and Beyond, will conclude the second season on PS4 and Xbox One this week. 36 Fragments of Midnight is that platformer that's been on the Vita and the Switch. I think it's like $2.99, but that'll be on the PS4 on Tuesday. 3 Billiards hits PS4 this week. It's exactly what you think it is. Cat Interstellar is a sci-fi short story where players will navigate a planet as a drone. This has been out on Steam for a couple months, so I'll be making a jump to PS4 this week. Dust Off Heli Rescue 2. This is a cool-looking helicopter game where your missions include saving prisoners and blowing up enemy camps. Boys, I'm not gonna lie, this looks like it would make a real fun indie spotlight game.
I concur that game looks very cool. I'm not 100% sure what we're gonna do on the spotlight this week. I am heavily considering Accounting Plus though for the for the spotlight because it looks insane.
Either those would be fine choices.
I kind of want to meet Tree Guy in virtual reality. That guy looks awesome.
What are you doing here? Cool. Yeah, either of those would be awesome. So Gunhouse. This is a tower defense puzzle game for the Vita. Hammerwatch is a hack and slash adventure game that dropped last week on the Switch and Xbox, so it'll be arriving on PS4 on Tuesday. Not gonna lie, this is another one that would be really cool as an indie spotlight game. Vertigo is a puzzle game coming to the PS4 that will also be playable in PSVR. Raining Blobs is a Tetris-style game coming to Xbox One on Wednesday. Defunct will be coming to the PS4 on Thursday. Getting on Thursday, of course, is going to be a lot of the Switch releases for the week. So we're kicked that off with Max, Curse of Brotherhood, kind of completing the console trifecta and arriving on the Switch. Mom Hid My Game is a puzzle-esque adventure game coming to the Switch and 3DS. Fire Emblem Warriors will be getting its Fates DLC pack. This is the first piece of the Season Pass content. So it'll add 3 new characters, 3 new history mode scenarios, along with a bunch of clothes, weapons, and items, all based on Fire Emblem Fates. The pack will be available not only to Season Pass holders, but you can purchase it individually for $8.99 on Switch or the new 3DS. Man, I wish you could do this for Zelda. Frederick, The Resurrection of Music is this really sweet-looking rhythm adventure game that'll be out on the Switch for $5.99. He's kind of like a composer who died and came back to life to fight the good fight for the music industry. So, I don't know, looks really interesting. Puzzle Box Maker is a pixel art creation game for the Switch. The Dear God, the Metroidvania platformer that's been on everything else, be out on the Switch this week. The Next Penelope is an action racing game based on Greek mythology. The developers say that if you've played one of the Micro Machines games, you'll feel at home playing this when it hits the Switch on Thursday. Tiny Troopers Joint Ops XL finally comes to the Switch this week as well. Arcade Archives Neo Geo Polestar is an R-style type of game that'll be arriving on the Switch. I think it's already on the other platforms, so cool. Blossom Tales The Sleeping King is an old-school-looking action-adventure RPG coming to the Switch this week. Fruitfall Crush is a Switch game that I can't find anything about anywhere. Literally nothing on the internet about this. But you'll rotate the level to move the fruit around where you want it. It's kind of one of those match 3 type of games, so I'll look for that for $5.99 on the Switch this week. The Coma Recut is that Korean horror game. Came to the PS4 a couple months back. It's hitting the Switch this week. Battle Miners is a crappy-looking Minecraft clone for the 3DS. Picross E8 is the 8th version of the popular puzzle series. That'll be out on the 3DS on Thursday. Roller Coaster Legends. This actually sounds kind of cool. This is like a roller coaster title that kind of takes players on a guided tour through Greek mythology. This will be a PlayStation VR title. I know the blog mentions it's a PS4 game, but everything I find suggests it's a VR game. So, Tiny Metal is a Japanese war strategy game that'll be out on the PS4 on Thursday. Heart and Slash.
Real quick on that one, Franklin.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when I watched the trailer for Tiny Metal, I got some Advance Wars vibes from that thing.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm like. That's why I'm kind of excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that'll be on Thursday. I'm actually probably gonna end up picking that one up because that trailer looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So good call on that.
R.I.P. Advance Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or Wargroove I think is the next one that's coming out.
Yeah,
so.
Wargroove. Yeah.
Oh well, trophies and stuff. Maybe there'll be a platinum. Be really exciting.
Maybe.
All right. Up next, Heart and Slash. This is the 3D roguelike brawler that'll be dropping on the Switch on Friday. Arcade Archives versus Super Mario Brothers. This is an arcade version of Super Mario Brothers where one player is Mario and player 2 is Luigi. The game features like altered or changed worlds, compared to the ones that you're used to from the game, and there's 6 new ones as well. I think they also took out the warp zones, so you can't warp to levels 7 and 8. So I don't know. Where are you guys at with this? And this is kind of I'm not familiar with these Arcade Archives versus games, like of these old Nintendo games. Have any of you played any of these? Have any idea what these entail?
I've played the original Mario Brothers, like the one where you fight with the crabs and the pipes and the POW blocks and all that stuff. I know that one. I've never heard of this one. I didn't even know this was a thing.
I didn't know this was a thing, but I think this was one of the things that they did at the Nintendo World Championships, where you've got Mario and Luigi. I don't know if it was the same thing. I could be wrong, but they did something in the Nintendo World Championships where you've got Mario and Luigi, and you play at the same time, and there's like these blocks you can hit to fill in these red squares, and when you hit it, you can stop the other person from moving, or you can kind of impede their progress. And then you have to keep hitting the blocks to switch the squares back and forth to try to keep the other person from running forward, so you can try to get to the level before they do. It looked really interesting. I guess it was something that they did on Game Boy Advance or something. But this is definitely a weird inclusion on the Switch, especially since there's no virtual console or anything yet. So it's kind of weird.
Picking it up.
Nah, probably not. I'll wait.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at too. Brent, any interest?
No.
Cool. Boomball 3 arriving for the Kinect on Friday. Tactical Mind is a $2.99 Switch checkers-like puzzle game.
Did you just say Connect?
Yeah, Kinect.
Now
Wow.
that one I am looking
Wow.
forward to.
I bet.
Reaching deep for that one.
Yeah. Start tossing out there at the end of the year. Who would know? Monster Hunter World will be running an open beta for all PS4 owners starting on noon on Friday, the 22nd, and will be running through noon on Tuesday, the 26th. So Christmas weekend, get to go out and play Monster Hunter. Hell yeah!
Ooh, nice.
You can be able to preload the game beginning Monday, the 18th. I think if you already were in the closed beta, you could just, I assume you either update the client or just relaunch it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you guys did you guys talk about any of this at all yet? The closed beta? Has anyone played it?
I didn't get a
Man.
chance to touch it.
Yeah, I did not get a chance to get in there. I completely missed it, so I'm looking forward that we're gonna get another chance.
I played it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Did you? I just did the beginner mission because I just wanted to see how the game was on there.
Yeah, same here. I just did they had beginner, intermediate, and expert, and I just did the beginner hunt. And yeah, it was cool. They had a variety of weapons to choose from and very limited customization options, but apparently then the full game you'll be able to customize your character.
Mhm.
But I had fun with it. I mean, you fight this big lizard thing that drags its belly on the ground. It was kind of a weird monster, but it was cool, just wailing away at it, and
Yeah.
didn't take too long to beat it, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the one I did too. I just wanted to kind of get in there and see how the game felt on the big screen on a PS4 controller. So wasn't disappointed. It's Monster Hunter, so I'm excited. I was talking to my buddy Jamie, and him and a couple of my coworkers did the couple other harder missions,
Mhm.
and they were saying because you have like a 20-minute time limit in this. I think it's 50 when you in the actual game, but they did 20 for the beta. But he was saying the last one, like the amount of stuff you have to do to take that thing down, like they just barely beat him in time. So
Wow.
I do like this time around. I do want to get in there and play the other two just to try them out. And I think you get stuff like in the main game when it comes out in January for doing the beta stuff. So since I'm actually going to be off, if any of you guys have time, I would love to do some Monster Hunter shenanigans this weekend. So just throwing that out there.
I definitely want to get in there because I really wanted to play the beta before, didn't get a chance to, so don't wanna miss that opportunity again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I'm looking forward to hopping back in there. You guys hopefully try out the multiplayer. Last thing I want to mention.
Real quick, Frankie, before you go on, this is totally off topic, but Brent, your cat walked off your screen, like as we're sitting here on Skype, and then Frankie's cat came around the corner on his box. Did anybody else see that, or am I just losing my mind?
You're
It was
probably
like-
losing your mind, but Frankie may be right over there. You just don't
Dude,
know it.
Are your cats like connected in the Force?
Spoilers.
Can't confirm nor deny anything just yet.
It probably only looked that way to you, Ben, because of the way the boxes are laid out on your screen.
Yeah.
Which
I
which
just-
way was it? So when Brent puts the thing together, he can.
It was Brent's cat walked off the left of his screen and then appeared from the left on your screen.
Man, that's trippy. I bet
was
you that was
cool.
weird to see.
It was. I was like, man, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, my cat
But
makes portals and it just kind of
Yeah.
flies around wherever it wants to go.
Yeah, your cats kind of look similar from what I saw there too. So,
Wouldn't be surprised. He does tend to just come out of nowhere, so I don't know. Maybe Brent and I have the same cat. I don't know.
It's
It's
possible.
have you ever seen them in the same place at the same time?
I heard that's a bad thing.
Obviously not.
I thought Doc Brown said that's a bad thing if they're in the same vicinity with one another and they touch or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
We could be looking at a paradox here.
All right, Frankie, get the show back on track, will you? Boyce is obviously
I
smoking
digress.
crack.
Good note, though. Good note. Cool. Yeah. So the last thing I have on this list is kind of an honorable mention. We're not doing a show next week. or the week after. But SteamWorld Heist Ultimate Edition will be releasing on the Switch on December 28th. So I know SteamWorld Heist and SteamWorld Dig are two very different games, but still, I think SteamWorld Heist looked really cool. Reviewed very well. So if you're interested in that, look for that on the Switch on the 28th. Brent, it's going to do it for the new releases.
Thank you, Franklin. Appreciate you going through that list. Some good titles there. I might jump into the world beta with you guys, the world open beta.
Yes.
If I'm not too busy hunting the predator. So yeah.
So it won't take long.
Yeah. hunting that awesome mission you laid out for us earlier.
Man, just a big bullet sponge. Yahoo. Cool.
Yeah, it sounded really cool, and then you started talking about. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's just a total Buzz Killington moment. So.
How many people can you run in a Monster Hunter at once? Like, what's a party in that game?
I think four.
I think
do
it's
4.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you guys are depending on
Yeah.
me, I'm not going to download it now. I'm not going to download it. So awesome. Cool. Well, thank you very much. Let's jump into the news. First up, a couple things we want to touch on with Destiny 2. There were some changes that were made this week to correct an error made by last week that was correcting something else the week before. So just a domino effect for Destiny 2. But update 1.1.1.1 came out this week, and here's some of the stuff that they addressed. Obviously, one of the bigger concerns was with the release of Curse of Osiris, the prestige modes of the Nightfalls and the Raid were locked behind the DLC, and obviously Bender called in and made enough death threats for them to say, hey, look, we need to fix this. So here are some of the changes that update 1.1.1.1 made. The Prestige Leviathan raid will be brought back down to power 300, and its rewards will drop down to match the new power level. All players will regain access to the Prestige raid. This will allow access to the Prestige Achievement Trophy for all players. This will also allow all players the ability to complete the final step for the Legend of Acreus Exotic Shotgun. Also, some changes were made. The Trials of the Nine will only require Curse of Osiris when it features a Curse of Osiris map. For all other weeks, it'll be available to all players. This will allow access to the Lest Ye Be Judged Achievement Trophy for all players. Trials of the Nine rewards that launched with Destiny 2 will still be accessible to all players. New seasonal rewards that launched with Curse of Osiris, such as the new seasonal armor ornaments, will require ownership of Curse of Osiris to acquire. The Prestige Nightfall will remain a pinnacle activity at the new 330 power cap. This means Prestige Nightfall will require ownership of Curse of Osiris. Because of this, we will update the Prestige Achievement Trophy to only reference the Prestige Raid. Moving forward, we are investigating adding a third difficulty to all Prestige activities so that we can provide both a challenge that stays relevant with each new expansion and a Prestige version that is available to all players. Normal Nightfall will only require Curse of Osiris when it features a Curse of Osiris map, just like multiplayer. And time-limited events, Iron Banner, Faction Rally, and the Dawning will be made available to all players. So obviously they postponed the Faction Rally this week. Iron Banner and Faction Rally rewards that launched with Destiny 2 will still be accessible to all players. New seasonal rewards that launch with Curse of Osiris, such as the new seasonal armor ornaments, will require ownership of Curse of Osiris to acquire. So these are some of the changes that they made to address the concerns that were brought up by the community. But of course, there are now some more new issues that have come with this update. And here's what we're currently trying to work on here is first up, Masterwork weapon cores are not properly forwarded to the postmaster when dismantling Masterwork weapons with a full consumable inventory. As we investigate this issue, we advise players to ensure proper inventory space prior to dismantling their items.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to make sure that we highlighted, Brent, because that one is important for the community to know.
Yeah.
So if you are dismantling Masterwork weapons, make sure that you have an inventory slot until this is fixed, which will be in an upcoming patch, I'm sure.
Yeah, because those things are not easy to come by.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah.
You don't want to lose those.
Yeah.
Masterwork multi-kills on floating enemies. We have verified an issue where multi-kills on floating enemies do not produce orbs of light as intended. This is currently under investigation. Quick play challenges. We have identified an issue where challenges do not appear to players when they are entering quick play in the Crucible. And Ikora Waypoint. We have identified an issue where players are witnessing a waypoint over Ikora when they do not have enough tokens for Reputation package. This is currently under investigation as well. So one update. The update fixes a couple things, and we've created a few new errors that are issues that Bungie is obviously working on. So look forward to update 1.1.1.2 to hopefully address those issues. A couple other things regarding Destiny 2. The Dawning starts on Tuesday. So the Dawning event, which obviously takes place during the holidays. Boys, what can we expect from the Dawning? Is there, I mean, like, I fail to remember what the Dawning was like in Destiny 1. It's just basically cosmetic changes. Are there any missions that we can look forward to?
Yeah, potentially. So here's some of the things that they're outlining for the Dawning. So, obviously, the Dawning in Destiny is their celebration of the New Year. It's their celebration of the awakening of the Traveler. Like that's kind of how they frame the celebration. So, as Bungie notes here, it may be cold outside, but there's a warmth in the air. As the year comes to an end, the tower and farm are decorated with festive cheer. It's time to celebrate your light. So obviously the farm and the tower will be decked out with Dawning, accoutrements. So we can look forward to that. Here's one of the things I'm most excited about is snowball fights. So Guardians aren't just arming themselves with weapons. There are snowball piles everywhere you look. In the tower and at the farm, you can tag your friends for bragging rights. Now, here's the other cool part about this, and we mentioned this when they initially rolled or talked about the Dawning earlier this year. In strikes, you can blast an enemy with a snowball to stun them and deal big damage. Stay frosty out there. So we'll actually be able to throw snowballs at enemies in strikes, which is cool. Another thing that I'm really excited about, Mayhem returning to the Crucible.
Ooh.
So keep your blood warm and your heart pumping in the Crucible. Mayhem is back, so your abilities recharge faster. Point values are cranked up enough to melt the ice. It's anarchy, and it's awesome. I love Mayhem. It's one of my favorite modes in Destiny 1. Really excited to see that back in here. And then the Milestones of Winter. So engage in Crucible Mayhem or become legend in strikes, and you'll be rewarded. Every week, complete a milestone for a Dawning engram. Get in the giving mood with new consumables that give rewards to everyone you're playing with. If there's a specific Dawning item that you have your heart set on, tests will refresh your inventory every week, enabling you to use your Bright Dust reserves for your holiday shopping. On 1 week or another during the 3-week event, you'll find every Dawning-themed exotic, so that's ship, ghost, sparrow, and emote, and every Dawning-themed legendary armor piece on her shelves. Also, this is another interesting thing here. Pick up a Dawning gift schematic from the bazaar. Venture to other worlds and craft a unique gift for the vendors and agents you find in the tower and beyond. Then give the lucky recipient their gift and receive a gift in return. You can participate in the season of giving every day of the event. So apparently there'll be some type of a schematic you can get from the tower, and it sounds like it'll be some type of a mission that you go on out in the world. You'll be able to get something that's a gift for one of the vendors. So like Ikora, for instance, you bring it back to her and exchange it, and she'll give you something in return.
Her phone number?
Probably so. I'm sure that's on the list.
That'd be sweet.
So that's some of the stuff we can expect from the Dawning. There could be other stuff that we don't know about as well. I'm sure there'll be some quests or some missions associated with this as well. There typically is. So so this is kind of our first in-game event with Destiny 2. So I'm looking forward to hopping in there and seeing what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm interested. I just want to hit you in the face with a snowball, like repeatedly, like over and over. You know how weird it's gonna. You know how weird it's gonna be on a strike mission and you just throw a snowball at a Minotaur and just be like, "Yeah, take that."
Yeah,
stun them.
It's gonna be
all
awesome.
Right.
And we're definitely going down to the farm and we're throwing down.
It's gonna be at the farm.
There's gonna be some snowball shenanigans.
It's gonna be nasty.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going on with the Dawning, and then a couple more things. Origin story. We're gonna get an origin story here, and this actually sounds pretty sweet. Next week, they'll be launching a web comic series starting with an Osiris and Ikora origin story. Fall of Osiris. Margaret Stoll, Destiny 2 narrative director, notes this. Destiny 2's first ever original comic short is written by Eisner winning New York Times best-selling writer Ryan North. He wrote Dinosaur Comics, Marvel's The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, in collaboration with our own super talented Destiny 2 Curse of Osiris narrative lead, Christine Thompson, with interior art by Destiny community fan favorite Zay Carlos. And then obviously right here we got a peek at the cover of it. So this looks pretty snazzy. And then we got a quick description here of the comic. Osiris was once the champion of the last city, vanguard commander, seeker of secrets, and discoverer of wonders. And then everything changed. How did Osiris go from hero to traitor? Coming soon for free at Bungie.net. So we'll get some more story filler there. Find out a little bit more about Osiris, and then some other stuff here. This is all on the Bungie on the website. Earlier this week, we updated the same blog with some notes on how we intend to handle expansions differently going forward. You should read them. Essentially, our goals are to continue adding new challenges to Destiny and to keep old challenges relevant without taking them away from anyone. It's a delicate balance, and we intend to do a better job of striking it. In the most immediate version of the future, that means making changes to faction rallies and Iron Banner so they can include everybody, no matter their level of investment in the new content. And then lastly, Bungie wanted to kind of say, their happy holidays and whatnot, but this was their final message for 2017. This is the last weekly address on Bungie.net for 2017. The conversation about Destiny 2 won't stop, but the blog is being laid down for a long winter's nap. Communication will continue on our forums and social media, where it can happen faster from anywhere our holiday travels take us. We'll be reading your feedback about the Dawning. We'll be calling the shots for the live game. We'll be addressing issues if they arise. We'll be back on the blog upon the conclusion of the Dawning to put the next conversation on your radar. With all that said and done, we still have work to do. While the blog will be silent for the weeks to come, we still have many in the studio dedicated to keeping things running throughout the holiday season. Keep the conversation rolling, and we'll keep the communication flowing. At Bungie.help, we'll keep you updated on known issues and server status, and we'll be collecting and responding to feedback whenever they can. Once we enter the new year, we'll have more info concerning updates planned for early 2017, and we'll keep the conversation going throughout the year. So, obviously, they made some changes here. They're trying to get things in order before they kind of have to go on this short hiatus. There will be people working behind the scenes, but I think we can expect once the new year kicks in, we get to 2018, we're going to start hearing more from Bungie about what to expect for Destiny 2 throughout next year.
Yeah, and this obviously is a follow-up to the stuff that we talked about, in weeks prior, especially last week with regards to people being basically cut out of some of the new activities. It's being cut out of prestige activities and Trials of Osiris and all that kind of stuff. And I like this response here. So we found out during the Curse of Osiris reveal, Bungie came out. They had that blog post where they were like, we're going to change a little bit about how we communicate with you guys, and we're going to keep you more in the loop in terms of how we do things. So we've seen that on the Bungie blog over the last few weeks and months. So, and this is one of these kind of posts. So it's like, hey, we hear you loud and clear about this, and they made a swift change on this. So a week removed from when we're talking about this, they've updated so that you can get your trophies. Everybody has access to these events, and I think they're going about this the right way. So, just like they say on the post here, the Destiny endgame features, and this is what I want to get at. So the Destiny endgame features a variety of activities and playlists that we want to remain relevant to players as they grow more powerful. In Destiny 1, your character grew more powerful throughout each expansion. Some of our best content, as in Destiny 1, as your character grew more powerful, some of our best content, like Vault of Glass, was left behind and lost its relevance for players. We wanted a better solution for Destiny 2 where all of our endgame activities could stay relevant as each expansion causes your Guardian to grow more and more powerful. So, and I want to be clear on this. That's what I want as a Destiny player. I don't want any of these activities to be left behind. I want this stuff to proceed forward with me. So I think, they mentioned in the weekly update, they're trying to find that balance right now. And I think where they're running into issues right now is Destiny 2 is still such a new game. And It's only been out for a couple months, and Destiny 2 shipped with these activities available to all players. So Trials of the Nine, the raid, all that kind of stuff was in there for all players, in so much that they attached trophies to some of these, or achievements to some of these activities. So that's how ingrained in the initial launch of the game these activities were. So that's where we're running into at this point, where some people are upset they've only owned the game for a couple of months and they can't get access to these activities they once had access to when they bought the game. So so that's kind of the crux of the issue here, and I actually like what they've outlined in the blog post here. So I think this is kind of like the best of both worlds kind of solution right now. So they've brought the raid back down to the original prestige level. They've kept the nightfall at the higher cap. So there's still that one like prime prestige activity that's available for players. What I like though is what they said about addressing a third tier moving forward. So as you've got people that still have the original version of the game, they can still access those prestige things, but maybe they do a heroic prestige that that goes along and adds the power levels as people level up, because that's what I want to see. It's clear that they've heard the feedback from Destiny 1. And there was a lot of us that were like, man, it would be great to play Vault of Glass and Crota's End and all this kind of stuff as we move along in our progression here. So with Destiny 2, they're trying to do that from the beginning. And, while there may have been a misstep here initially, it sounds like they're addressing that feedback. They're responding to this quickly. And I think that's probably the best way to do this, is to have the normal mode, have the prestige mode, and then add some type of a prestige heroic, so that as people get these new expansions and they get more and more powerful as the level cap rises, those rewards will rise with them. Because that's what I want. Like I don't want to go into Iron Banner or a faction rally and get something that's 60 power levels lower than where I'm at right now. Like I want that stuff to be current. Right. So that's the one thing that I'm unsure of what they're going to do here. Like, how are they going to address this with Iron Banner, with the faction rallies? How are they going to make sure that is it just going to be as simple as the game's going to recognize your power level and issue you stuff that's at your correct level? Because right now, Iron Banner and Trials of the Nine and faction rally stuff obviously don't take into account your power level.
Right.
So is it going to be as simple as they recognize your power level and give you the appropriate level? I don't know. But eventually, like we talked about, like I would want to see Iron Banner eventually get back to the point where it takes into account your power level.
I hope so.
Yeah. So it's like there's things that people are asking for, but I feel like some of the stuff they need to be careful with what they ask for. Like is this really what you're gonna want a couple of months down the line when we have the second expansion out, and we're asking, well, what about the power levels and all that kind of stuff? So it's definitely a tightrope that they have to walk, like Bungie was mentioning there. So, but I do like this initial post. I think their plan, at least for now, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see where they go this. I would love to see them bring the Iron Banner back to what it was before. I always loved the fact when it had that power level that was taken into consideration and would give you a distinct advantage, because that was always the point of it. That was always the point of the Iron Banner. Damn it! If you grind, you put in the time and you grind, you get the best gear and you rank it up. You should have an advantage. You should have it. Be rewarded for your efforts. So. Yeah. That's definitely something I do hope they look into adding back in, because it desperately needs it. The Iron Banner just doesn't seem the same without it. It just seems like another Crucible mode. So,
yeah, it is fun and it is intense when you get in there still. But yeah, it's missing that extra edge that it had in Destiny 1 with the, because it was so specific to what you had been able to achieve with your character. So,
absolutely. Agree with you 100%. So hop in there, check out The Dawning over the next couple weeks. I know we'll be in there throwing snowballs and trying to get Ikora's phone number with gifts. So can't wait to see how that plays out. But let's move along. Some strange news. Burnout Paradise has been listed. A Brazilian retailer has listed Burnout Paradise Remastered for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, with a likely placeholder date of March 1st, 2018. Burnout Paradise was the last entry in the Burnout series, so if this is going to be remastered, I think this would be the perfect spot to do it at, because Burnout's awesome, and I would love to see Burnout Paradise get remastered. If it means we'll get if that's what we have to do to get another Burnout game, I'm on board with that. Frankie, your thoughts on Burnout Paradise possibly coming to next gen consoles?
I'd be okay with that. I never got into that game like I really wanted to. I know it was a Criterion game. back when that meant something. So I don't know. I'm of two minds. Like, I would like a new Burnout game for sure, but
Oh, yeah.
also, you know what I mean? Like, that team that's left there is such a skeleton crew that I don't even know what that would look like coming from them anymore. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind revisiting, Paradise, even though I never got to play it in the first place. That'd be great.
Man, I really
all for
like
it.
that game. Boys, what do you think, man?
Burnout Paradise is awesome, dude. I thought that game was so awesome. So I would love to get that remastered. The fact that it's on one of these rating boards, you pretty much sign, seal, and deliver this. Like, this thing's got to be in the pipeline. If it shows up on the Brazilian board, the Korean board, any of these ones, once these games show up on here, man, this is basically set in stone. So if this is, if we're getting Burnout Paradise next year, that's awesome. If this is a precursor of more Burnout games in the future, that's even cooler. But Burnout Paradise is a fantastic game. I can't wait to see this one and remastered.
Yeah, if you want to remaster Burnout 3 Takedown, that'd be awesome as well, because Burnout 3 Takedown was freaking sweet. Benner, any interest in Burnout Paradise if it gets remastered?
Yes, definitely. I love the Burnout games as well. As far as car racing franchises, I mean, that's probably my favorite. They were always a blast to play. So yeah, I would be willing to revisit that game.
Gosh, I really. Oh,
Brent,
sorry,
you
go ahead.
mentioned that Burnout game. Xbox has that backwards compatibility thing on OG Xbox, and that was on there.
Is Burnout 3 Takedown on there?
Yeah.
Oh boy, dude, seriously, I played that thing religiously with my brother. All we did was take turns going back and forth in crash mode and just seeing who could rack up the highest damage count. And that, seriously, Burnout 3 Takedown was freaking awesome. I absolutely love Takedown. So if that's available on OG Xbox and I can get that backwards compatibility, I might have to look into it, because he's coming home for the holidays. And, man, we fire that up down here, and I guarantee you we'll play for hours on end, man, because that was a heated challenge. We could get the highest crash multiplier. So, but if that's not the case, still Burnout Paradise Remastered would be a sweet addition, because I think Burnout games are fun. I thought Paradise was really, really good. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Now we got to quick derail the show for some fighting game news. Boys, what's going on with Street Fighter V or whatever?
How perfect that this would come up when Frankie's back in the show. So
there it is, timing.
Got Frankie back in the fold, so we can talk some fighting games for a second. Big time Street Fighter V news coming out of the Capcom Cup, which of course wrapped up at the end of the PlayStation experience. So, as Capcom is accustomed to do at these big tournaments, they had some stuff to unveil with Street Fighter V. So we all know Street Fighter V Arcade Edition coming. It's been announced. It's of course a free update for Street Fighter V, but it also heralds in kind of like a rebrand, a re-release of Street Fighter V, so to speak. Kind of give it another go with all the stuff that they've done to this game over the last couple years. So January 16th, 2018. Street Fighter V Arcade Edition will officially launch. But alongside that, as has been rumored and wondered about, Season 3 of the Street Fighter V DLC characters have been announced. And this time they unveiled all 6 characters, who they're going to be at once. And this is a very fan favorite list here of fighters. So it's going to start with Sakura. She's going to be available on January 16th, 2018. So she's obviously a very popular fighter. She idolizes Ryu. So she's always been a really cool character in the Street Fighter canon. But then the rest of the characters, Blanca, finally coming back. I mean, hell yeah. Dude, I've been waiting for Blanca for 2 years. He's one of my favorite guys. He's one of Ono's favorite guys, too. So I'm surprised it took this long for Blanca to get into the series. But Blanca coming in Street Fighter in the Season 3 character pass. Cody, the final fight character, Mr. Locked Up in Chains himself. He's coming back in Street Fighter V. And then Sagat, obviously a big-time fighter, been in a big part of the series since Street Fighter. So to see him roll in here with his tiger abilities is awesome. And then we've got 2 new characters, Falca. Not sure if that's how you say that, Falky, and G. He's a couple of very interesting looking characters. Really like the design on G. Got this top hat, this big Frankie beard. So he looks like kind of a rad character. So we saw Sakura's intro video, saw some of her abilities. Obviously when the arcade edition of Street Fighter V comes out, everybody's going to get an additional V trigger and an arcade mode. Obviously, it's in the name of the game. Bunch of other stuff in there, but lots of really cool additions coming to Street Fighter V. Franklin, let me get your thoughts on what we heard from this at the Capcom Cup, man.
I was really excited. I think that's a solid looking character pass for next year. Hopefully that hits us the PS Store soon. I love pre-ordering that around this time of year. So, yeah, I'm excited. I actually bought Street Fighter V. It's in the big sale this week. So I ditched my disc and I got the digital file now. So update to the arcade edition mid-January, and hopefully we'll get to play a little more of that next year.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna play some more of that next year. We got big plans for fighting games here at Short Applause. So, but Frankie, that wasn't it. It wasn't just character pass. We got another exceptional announcement. So we found out, and Capcom just knocking it out of the park with these anniversary celebrations. So we talked about Mega Man last week and all the cool stuff that's going on with Mega Man. Capcom continuing to Bender was talking about Okami earlier. They're just continuing to remaster their classic games and bring these out to a new audience. But in honor of Street Fighter's 30th anniversary, the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection was announced, and get this. So this is a bundle of basically everything before Street Fighter 4, including the 1987 original Street Fighter game. There are 12 games in this package. Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So that's where all the jokes from Street Fighter 2 come in. There's five different versions of Street Fighter 2 in there. Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, quite possibly my favorite Street Fighter. Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So in addition to all 12 of these games being on there, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter Alpha 3, and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike will all feature online multiplayer as well. So this is due out in May of 2018. It's coming to the PS4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC. Franklin, talk to me about this announcement.
Very excited about it. There's a lot of those games that I've missed out on. Some of them I picked up on the PS3, but it was towards the end of me having a PS3, so never gotten to trying them out. So I'm excited. I love Street Fighter. Like I've said before, Street Fighter 4 probably my favorite one so far, but getting in there and actually experiencing where it started, because I've never played Street Fighter 1. I've never even been able to find a copy of Street Fighter 1.
Street Fighter 1
is console?
I don't know. It may have came like the Master System or something. I don't know. But it's a very interesting game. It's if you've ever seen the arcade cabinet for Street Fighter, it has two huge buttons. There's only two buttons. They're like these big rubber buttons. They're seriously like that big. And you have to like whack-a-mole, pound them to like hit them. At least that's what I had to do. So there's like one punch and one kick button. It's a very strange setup. It's a very crude version of Street Fighter, but that's where it all started. And there could have been something, like I said, on Master System or maybe like TurboGrafx or one of those kind of things. But I don't remember ever seeing Street Fighter on console.
Yeah, so that'd be cool. I've always wondered what the first game was like because I've only ever known the 18,000 versions of Street Fighter 2. So
yeah.
Very, very exciting. That collection is awesome, and it's only $40. So
yeah. So I'll definitely be picking this up. Like I said, coming out in May. Now they said they listed Street Fighter 2 Turbo on here as getting it is Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo that's getting the arcade the online multiplayer, which is awesome. So Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, an excellent game. Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, an excellent game. Street Fighter Alpha 3, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. That's awesome that all those games are going to be playable online. I can't wait to get back into Alpha 3, man. I absolutely love the Alpha series. Seriously, some of the best games in the Street Fighter series. So I was ultra pumped to see this, man. Can't wait to play these games again when they come out. So lots of good stuff from Street Fighter, Brent. It's gonna be a great cap to the 30th anniversary celebration. Back to you.
I'm just happy Brent has Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, I'm happy he has the collector's edition of Street Fighter 5.
Yeah,
That's what makes it even better.
It does. It makes it fantastic. But no, I'm very happy for you guys that that 30th anniversary collection actually sounds pretty lame. So that's that's great, man. And judging by Bender's excitement, I don't even want to come to him and get his thoughts on it. So moving on from Street Fighter V, let's talk some MPD real quick. First up, Call of Duty's back, baby. Call of Duty is back, and it's back in a big way. So first off, to everybody who said, I'm done with Call of Duty, bullshit. Call of Duty
nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, nobody saw that coming. The Call of Duty had an absolutely massive showing. It was obviously the biggest winner of November, and it's also, in November, has become the best-selling game of 2017 and for the past 12 months.
Yep.
I feel like this happens every month.
I mean,
with Activision, it seemingly does.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But, yeah, so obviously returning to World War II was smart on their part. They've stripped everything down and went back to the basics, and it's paid off in dividends. And this is per Matt Piscatella from the NPD. Call of Duty World War II generated more launch month consumer spending than any Call of Duty debut since the release of Black Ops 2 in November 2012. This thing is a juggernaut, no pun intended.
That's the
this is just incredible.
That's the power of Infinite Warfare's of how much people disliked that game in the Call of Duty community. They could now wait to get out of the future and get back to World War II. They were lapping this thing up in droves, man.
I mean, incredible showing for Call of Duty. So glad to see that they've kind of returned to the roots and returned to the top of the polls where they belong. But let's talk about we'll just quick run down the list here for the best-selling games of November. Number one, obviously, Call of Duty World War II. And despite all of the bad press and the loot boxes, Star Wars Battlefront 2 checks in at number 2. Impressive.
Dude, I love that game.
I know it's a fun game. I mean, I don't have any issues other than the flying. I think it's a fun game in most of the other modes. I'm just terrible at the flying. I know there's obviously a lot of good people at it because they're killing me. Actually, they're not killing me. They're just chasing me until I crash into a wall. So
yeah,
that's basically the extent of my skills there. But It's a beautiful looking game. It captures the heart and soul of Star Wars, and a lot of the modes that don't require flying, I think, are actually pretty intense and pretty a lot of excitement, and it's really fun to play. I really hope they add the team spawn system quickly, because that is one of the most annoying features that's not in there. You basically every time you die, you just spawn with a whole group. I mean, you don't even get to choose who you spawn on. So they are working on bringing that in. That's a feature that is desperately needed, and hopefully we'll get that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's like my main complaint is there's a lot of times like getting down to the wire and you die and you respawn. You're far away from the objective a lot of the times. So you don't have enough time to get back in there and even try to make a last stand. So but dude, outside of that, like I am in love with that game. We've been firing it up every Friday. I got a group of coworkers who all picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
We suck at it. We don't care. It's fun. Like I've played this one a lot more than the first game. So
yeah, I mean it's
awesome.
It's Star Wars, baby. I mean that's all everyone really wanted, and seeing it chart at number 2 tells me that's what everyone wanted, despite all of the bad press and the complaining. I'm not buying Star Wars Battlefront 2 because of the loot boxes. Bullshit. So recurring theme for the first 2 games on the list here. Second,
real quick too, Brent. That's it's kind of something that we discussed when we were talking about Battlefront 2 a few weeks ago, and you know I work with a lot of people that are Star Wars fans as well, and a lot of them bought Battlefront, and they don't know a damn thing about the loot box in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like they paid zero attention to that. So I obviously maybe didn't affect them as much. I mean we don't have the concrete numbers here. We've seen kind of some stories, peppered about how many copies the game sold, but I don't know. Just looking at this list here, that I feel like some of those may be false.
Yeah, I'm thinking it sold just fine.
Yeah.
Number 3, Assassin's Creed Origins. So that had another strong month. NBA 2K18, Madden NFL 18, Super Mario Odyssey charts at number 6, FIFA 18 at number 7, followed by Need for Speed Payback, Destiny 2 at number 9, Pokemon Ultra Sun at 10, Ultra Moon at 11, Middle-earth Shadow of War number 12, Grand Theft Auto 5 at 13, The Sims 4 at 14, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at 15, Mario Kart 8, Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus, South Park The Fractured Butthole, WWE 2K18, which just got obliterated on the Switch. Reviews on the Switch version are just abysmal. It sounds like this, and for all intents and purposes, it's the worst port that the Switch has seen is WWE 2K18. That's how bad this game is on the Switch. And then rounding out the top 20, Just Dance 2018.
It was a stealth release.
It was, for a reason. And so, Frankie, any standouts on this list to you? Any woes or anything like that?
I'm really sad that Wolfenstein is still at the bottom.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that people would have gone out, gotten their Assassins, Mario, and then turned around, picked up Wolfenstein around Black Friday, but I guess not. Also, kind of sad to see that Shadow of War kind of fell down pretty far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, down to number 12. But considering that came out when, in October?
Yeah.
And everyone's got to buy their shooters come November, so
it did chart at the top of October though, so it did amass like millions of sales that first month. So, so at least there's that.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Boys, anything stand out to you?
Yeah, Frankie touched on a few of them there. Obviously, Battlefront 2. I was surprised to see that up near the top here. I mean, we know Call of Duty sold astronomically. I mean, we're talking probably 4 to 6 million copies in this first month here. I'd have to guess maybe closer to 6. So and we know Origins is selling really well. So kudos to Assassin's Creed for coming up at number 3 on this list a month after release. So that one still selling like hotcakes. So was surprised by Battlefront 2 there. Pokemon coming in at 10 and 11 was I know it's kind of a remake of Sun and Moon, but still those are like huge games, and to me this is kind of like an indication of where we're at with the 3DS right now. Like we're kind of reaching the sunset period for the 3DS. We're kind of reaching like a saturation point with that. So seems like Nintendo may have been onto something with kind of finishing up Pokemon on 3DS here, and then moving to the Switch moving forward. So thought that was interesting. Obviously, like Frankie mentioned, Wolfenstein being down there a little bit on the list is unfortunate as well for Bethesda. But always interesting with these NPD lists, man. And how about $2.68 billion for the gaming industry in November 2017? That's crazy.
That's a lot of money. Better, anything stand out on this list to you?
Yeah, just like the guy said, I'm really surprised to see Star Wars Battlefront 2 at number 2 for this list, especially after all the controversy over it and all the hate that it got. Still seemed to have sold well. So, I think the game deserves it. I think it's a fun game. It's really cool. Like Frankie was saying, we've been getting together and playing. Played last night and got like 7 or 8 wins in a row, and it was a lot of fun. They've got a new map on there that's one of the locations from The Last Jedi, and it looks exactly the way it does in the movie. Yeah, Crate, yes. Mm-hmm. It was so cool because I just went to see the movie, and then I came home and I started playing the game, and we went to that map, and I was like, oh my god, this looks exactly like the movie. It was so cool. Yeah,
that was a cool map. I really love that.
Yeah, but yeah, we had a lot of fun. So yeah, it's a pretty good game.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm stunned by Battlefront 2. I thought maybe a 4th or 5th finish, considering everyone said they weren't going to buy the game. And then I was kind of surprised. I mean, I'm not because it's an older game, but I thought Elder Scrolls Skyrim would be at the bottom part of that list on the Switch. I really thought that we were going to see a big push there from it, and it finished 4th on the Switch list itself. But at the end of the day, it did not crack the top 20. So I thought for sure we'd see that because that was supposed to be one of the big third-party titles for the Switch, and to see that not on there I was a little shocked by that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Doom too, not on this list as well.
That finished 8th. That finished behind Sonic Forces,
Oh,
Mario Rabbids, and Splatoon 2.
Poor Bethesda, man. They just can't catch a break.
man.
Man. They release these 2 excellent third-party titles, and they can't even get them to go on the Switch. You lose out to Splatoon and Sonic Forces.
Oof.
Ugh.
That's
That's disappointing because for all intents and purposes, those are pretty good ports. I think they're both run and play very good on the Switch, but I thought for sure we'd see Skyrim on that list more than I expected to see Doom, but there it is. It's not there. Here's something funny though I noticed about these lists. The Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 lists are identical up to number 9 and 10. Like I said, number 1, Call of Duty, Battlefront 2, Origins, NBA, Madden, FIFA, and Need for Speed, and Destiny 2. Identical on both those platforms. And then Forza Motorsport 7 and Shadow of War on Xbox One, and Grand Theft Auto 5 and Wolfenstein 2 on PS4 round out those lists. So I thought that was pretty interesting that the first 8 spots were identical between those platforms. Yeah. And then we see the best-selling games of 2017 so far. Obviously, Call of Duty World War II at the top. Number 2 is Destiny 2. And that doesn't include PC sales. So that's an impressive showing. Then NBA 2K18, Madden 18, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, Breath of the Wild, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 7, For Honor at number 8, Injustice 2 at number 9, and Horizon Zero Dawn at number 10. So those are your best-selling games of 2017 so far. Call of Duty comes out and just blows by everybody. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
1 month.
1 month. And then on the
both of the top 2 games, Activision joints, just raking in money hand over fist with those games.
Yeah, they're doing okay in 2017.
Yeah.
On the hardware front, the PlayStation 4 was the top selling console of November, and Xbox made the most money. So Sony pushed the most units, Microsoft made the most money, and the Switch just doesn't care. They're just like, whatever, dude. We're selling plenty of units. So
here's the thing about this, Brent. For the PS4, this is it sold the most consoles of any month of the PS4 to date.
That's insane.
Which is crazy, considering the system's been out for 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm. This was their biggest month ever.
Yeah, it topped even launch month.
That's
in November of 2013. So obviously that $199 deal brought in a lot of people.
We didn't get any like hard data on PSVR, did we? I was really curious to see how VR did.
Well, we got the numbers from Sony recently that they're over 2 million units now of
yes.
PlayStation VR. So we don't know exactly what it did during Black Friday, but the fact that they're up over 2 million now, I think is a pretty solid number for a high priced accessory.
Yeah, I really want to see this VR thing really take off, especially with the games that we have seen in the pipeline, and what we've seen so far. I'm really hoping VR really, it keeps this traction, it keeps this going, because I just want to see this flourish. I want to see VR really take off. I don't want this to be, just a niche thing for a while and then just kind of gets brushed away as not quite there yet. I feel like that this is still a growing thing, and we haven't hit the peak yet. We're still a ways up, but I just want to continue to do well. And that sell they ran last month, obviously they sold a lot of units.
And I think if PlayStation Experience is anything to go off of, Sony clearly behind the technology. There's a lot of games in the pipeline for PSVR, and a lot of really good looking games. Blood and Truth looks awesome. That game looks awesome. The demo they had at PSX was great. I wanted to play that game instantly after watching that. Firewall looks great.
Man.
Stuff like the Inpatient and Bravo team, that stuff sounds really promising. Golem looks awesome. That's going to be out next year in March. Now, a lot of really, really promising titles in the pipeline. But seriously though, Blood and Truth at the top of my list. That game looks so cool, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Firewall is the one that I'm looking forward to the most. I mean, that just looked epic. It's basically Rainbow Six Siege in VR, and if that isn't intense, I don't know what is. That's going to be really, really fun to play. So, lots of good stuff from the MPD report. We're going to take a quick break. We've got some new music here from Rual Ethan. We've got some more news to discuss, and then we also have to talk about our favorite games of 2017. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Thanks again to Rual Ethan for producing the music for the podcast. He does the opening, the closing, and music you heard right there. Follow him on Twitter at Rual Ethan. Listen to his music on iTunes and SoundCloud. Now, we talked about the beginning of the show, and if you've been watching, there's been other codes that have popped up. But our good friend Jason Wickman, you can find him on Twitter at ModzuXBL. We've known Jason for quite a while, and he was kind enough to provide us with a couple of codes to give away to our audience. And first of all, Jason, thank you very, very much. I mean, it's a very very generous offer, and Jason's the type of guy that likes to just give back to the community, get games into people's hands, maybe games that people haven't played. Obviously, earlier in the show, we saw a code for PUBG. That was courtesy of Jason. And right now, we're going to read off a code for Gears of War 4. So, especially those of you, if you have an Xbox One X and you want to see this baby run at 60 frames through the campaign, you're going to want to get a pen and paper ready. So, this, again, is from Jason Wickman. Again, thank you very much, man. We really, really appreciate you as a listener and as a friend of the show. And I'm sure the listeners appreciate your generosity. It speaks volumes about you as a person and your character, and we can't thank you enough. So, without further ado, the code for Gears of War 4 goes as 2G9W7 Y7J M6 GWK F2 FC 6WQ 9H HVZ. I'm not going to read that again because that's a lot, but you can just scrub back 10 seconds and you can hear me spit letters into this microphone. But that is for Gears of War 4 on Xbox One. Frankie, if you're punching in that code right now, I'm seriously going to hunt you down. You look like you're...
That last letter is Z, you said?
You'll have to listen to the show to find out, buddy. But yeah, enter that code. You get Gears of War 4. If you have it on if you happen to have an X, I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter what system you have it on. Frankie and I, we love that game. It's a blast to play through. But if you're on the X, get that code in there and check that game out. Playing the campaign at 60 FPS is a sight to behold. So thank you again, Jason. We really, really appreciate it. We'll have another code from Jason later on in the show. All right, guys, let's get right back into the news. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but it is now confirmed Devil May Cry HD Collection is coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on March 13th. This will include Devil May Cry 2, and Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. Frankie, I know you're excited. I just saw you pump your fist. Are you pumped for the Devil May Cry HD collection?
Hell yeah. I actually have it on the 360. I think I have a digital PS3 version, but that's not doing me any good right now. But anyways, I've been wanting to play these games for a really long time. I think I started playing the first game because it's one of those games that, somebody broke Street Date, so you could go and buy it early if somebody was selling it. So I started playing it because I stupidly wanted a trophy dated before Street Date or something stupid. But I just remember the first game it plays very much like a Resident Evil game, which I think is kind of how the Devil May Cry games started. They were initially working on a Resident Evil, and it wasn't a Resident Evil game, so. But yeah, I'm excited. I've always heard the stories in these games are really great. I'm actually a big fan of the DMC Devil May Cry game. So I would like to get in there and actually play the games that everyone loves that I'm probably frowned upon for liking the other one for. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't know how well those games have aged. Those tank controls and that stuff has kind of been really difficult to go back to, but willing to do it for the sake of the story. So actually really excited about this.
I don't have any experience with it, but this looks good. It's a sweet package. You get all 3 games, so that's awesome. Boys, any experience with Devil May Cry?
Yeah, I love Devil May Cry. I don't remember any tank controls in Devil May Cry though. Unless I'm just forgetting, Frankie. But yeah, Devil May Cry is a high octane action franchise. It is the precursor to Bayonetta. It's obviously these games are very well loved, and I'm looking forward to being able to play these again with the HD collection on the newer generation consoles here. Obviously they're going to run at 60 frames. The HD collection when they brought it back out ran at 60 frames as well. So playing these games at 60 frames is awesome. Just like I said, just this high octane action experience. And I don't know, when after this collection comes out, we'll now have the first 3 Devil May Cry games. We'll have Devil May Cry 4. We'll have DMC. All of the Devil May Cry games will be available on the current generation consoles. And to me, I don't know, it seems a little more likely that maybe we're getting towards Devil May Cry 5, like we talked about a few shows ago, and the rumors were pointing to. The fact that they're bringing all this stuff out makes it a lot more likely that could be the case. So very interested from that perspective as well.
Mm-hmm. Bender, where are you at on Devil May Cry? Yay or nay?
I have no idea. I've never played any of them. I actually haven't played very many of those, third-person action type games. I'm not too experienced with that genre, so I don't know. I don't know where I stand on it.
Frankie, is or Devil May Cry, is that a Bender joint?
I think so.
Lead towards no on that one. Okay.
Dude,
awesome.
Did the first game seriously have tank controls? I do not remember that at all.
I thought it did. Maybe it didn't. It's been a while. I didn't play too much of it. I maybe played like a half hour or something, so I could be mistaken. I know it has like the Resident Evil, like the fixed cameras. I remember it has that.
Yeah, it has fixed cameras. I want to go back and play it now and see, because I do not remember that game having tank controls. It's such a fast paced action game. I don't know how it would have tank controls.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong.
Boyce goes back and plays it, and he's like, man, this thing sucks.
I'm gonna go back and fire it up now and be like, wow, it does have tank controls.
So, you can check out the Devil May Cry HD collection coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC on March 13th. Another game that you can play in March now, because Ubisoft decided to change some dates around, is Far Cry 5, which was originally supposed to come out on February 26th, is now coming out on March 27th.
Thank God.
Just squeezing it into that fiscal year there. They're like, we'll give you to the 27th, but that's literally the last possible date.
Yeah. So, I mean, they actually changed a couple games around here for as far as release dates go. Obviously, Far Cry 5 has been pushed back to March 27th, and I'm with you, Frankie. I'm kind of glad that's out of February and give me a little more time to check out some of these games in my backlog. Plus, we've got Shadow of Colossus I want to play through. I don't want to have to rush through that to get to Far Cry 5. So I'm kind of happy that that's out of there. But now March is beginning to look rather stuffed. Because that's typically when we have Sony will release something along the lines of like God of War, and there could be I know there's a couple VR games now. I know Bravo Team comes out in March, so March is starting to fill up slowly with some new titles here. So maybe it might end up being a bad move. Who knows? Along with Far Cry 5 getting a delay, The Crew 2 has been moved to the first half of 2018-2019 fiscal year, which again, boys, is during which months?
That would be April to October.
April to October,
I believe.
So the Crew 2 was moved, and then we have an unannounced Ubisoft title that was originally slated for 2018-2019 fiscal year, has now been pushed all the way back to 2019-2020 fiscal year. So we don't know what that game is. I'm gonna say it's Splinter Cell, but we don't know what that game is.
Just gonna throw that out there.
I'm just gonna say it's Splinter Cell.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. yeah, I got you covered. So
I'm just gonna say it's Splinter Cell. Just
No. I have no sources. I have no proof. I'm just going to say it's Splinter Cell just to say it.
Just to go off of that too, Brent, real quick. The leaked release date for God of War once again was March 22nd, 2018. That's the one that showed up on PSN a few weeks ago, before it was adjusted. So, that
mind you, this is the 25 to 35 hour God of War game now. So,
yep.
5 days before Far Cry 5 would not be ideal.
Yeah, so it could be right in that same time frame.
Yeesh, gotta hope not. Sticking with Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Rogue, a game we talked about a couple weeks ago, was listed on the Korean Game Rating Board, which means it is coming out.
Thank God.
Signed, sealed, and delivered, man.
Man, the Korean Ratings Board just always coming through clutch. But they have it listed for both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. This listing was spotted by Jamatsu, and it shows Assassin's Creed Rogue HD was submitted to the board by Ubisoft and classified on December 6th. Several Italian retailers have also previously outed the potential remaster, listing Assassin's Creed Rogue with a March 15th release date. So, again, March filling up very, very quickly.
It's that fiscal year, dude. It's the last month of the fiscal year. People are trying to get games they had planned to get out that year that maybe got delayed. They're trying to get them into that fiscal year so they can hit their projections. So it's just a busy month.
Man, you aren't kidding. Getting busy. Ubisoft not messing around. 2018, man.
My other question with Assassin's Creed Rogue, with them bringing that out, do you think that means that we won't get another Assassin's Creed next year? You think it'll just be like the remaster will kind of take the place of a new Assassin's Creed, and then we'll be on maybe this 2-year cycle with Assassin's Creed moving forward?
I think it would benefit Assassin's Creed, the franchise, if they stuck with this 2-year thing, but who knows, man? Ubisoft's in it to make money, and I don't know if Rogue will do this type of numbers that they would expect from an Assassin's Creed game, a new one, but I don't know what their plans are with Assassin's Creed, Frankie. I mean, or Ben. Frankie, what's your take, man? Do you think we'll see another Creed game?
No,
like a proper one.
Not next year. No, I think they probably saw how Origin's doing, and now they're probably and this kind of went in with those other games where they're kind of looking at this, going, okay, well, let's put a little more time in the development of these, flesh them out a little bit more. We're kind of in this weird position now where I think Ubisoft, for whatever reason, like they're one of the companies that gamers just hate, and I don't really understand why. I know I understand like Unity like coming out in the state that it was in, but it's just like I feel like Ubisoft has constantly caught a lot of flack, and I never really understood why or how they deserved it.
Really?
But yeah, like there's a lot of people out there calling like Ubi and stuff like that. Like I don't understand it. I think they're a great publisher, but no, I think they kind of see this as an opportunity for them. Like, EA is obviously, someone's backing the bus over them right now, I'm sure. And Ubisoft's in this position now where, South Park came out and did great. Assassin's Creed did great. Far Cry 5 has a lot of hype behind it. I think they have to see like, okay, well, hey, we're in a position where we can kind of get back into the good graces of everybody. So I could totally see them saying, look, we see that, Assassins, you guys, you're more likely to pick this up if it's had more time in the oven. And, obviously it benefited. It's a very polished game, very complete game, I would say, from what I've heard.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I could totally see them. And even then, I think they're kind of trying to get like on a Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed,
Mhm. Like a
rotate
back and
between those.
alternate. Yeah.
Yeah, so if anything, I would maybe expect Watch Dogs something or another this year if they're going to do one of those. But that seems also to be a thing, though. Like I think the last time they didn't have like a proper Assassin's Creed, we got that Ezio remaster collection.
Right.
So I think Rogue will do okay, though. I know a lot of people wanted that on those systems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is strange how people kind of dog on Ubisoft. Like, I look at Ubisoft's body of work lately, like you said, quality games. They basically nailed the DLC plan with Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, that thing has gone off without a hitch. People love that. Ghost Recon continues to get a lot of updates as a game as a service, and it'll continue to get updates with this PvP mode starting to take off. I feel like Ubisoft has done a lot of things right, and I think it's just a byproduct of the, hey, let's just crap on all the publishers. EA is obviously one of the most hated publishers out there. The loot box thing didn't help. But Ubisoft, I think Ubisoft is still dealing with the effects of releasing busted games in the past, games having issues. Rainbow Six Siege is not excluded from that. But I think they've done well on behalf of the consumer in terms of the way they deal with season passes, updating games, keeping games fresh with new content. So, no, I don't think Ubisoft deserves the type of flack that they get. I think they're leaps and bounds above EA in terms of like how they treat their consumers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like they've always at least tried to do right by everyone. Even the whole Unity thing. Like I bought the season pass for that game, and I think they decided, like, look, this game's totally f***ed up. Have a free game. So I got Far Cry 4 for free because of that.
Right.
Like, EA's not out there passing out free games. They're like, okay, great, yeah, we'll shut that off for a minute, but it'll be back.
Right.
So I don't know. I've always appreciated Ubisoft at least seemingly giving a shit that they at least make right by their customers.
Mm-hmm. Boys, what do you think about that, man? About Ubisoft catching that kind of flack from like? Do you think that's just gamers being gamers, or do you think there's something to it?
Nah, here's the thing, man. I mean, when we look at the list of the top selling games for the year, like Ghost Recon Wildlands is one of the games at the top there. Rainbow Six Siege has been in the NPD list for the better part of its career. So Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed is one of the highest selling games of the year. So the people that say stuff, it's the same like Call of Duty syndrome. Like, yeah, you're gonna talk about this, you're gonna talk about that, but then you're gonna go out and buy the game anyways. So what does it matter? So yeah, to me, any of that stuff is just like surface level BS that's just people bitching just to bitch, and then they still go out and buy the game anyways. So if you wanna talk about Ubisoft, like all of their open world formula, people make fun of that because it's the same type of thing in all of their games, or for like the Assassin's Creed Unity stuff. I mean that's fine, but at the end of the day, they make good games. Gamers know they make good games. They go out and buy their games in droves. So it's a non-issue.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you 100%. So keep doing your thing, Ubisoft. Keep making quality products. Keep giving out the DLC for free in certain instances, and thank you for knowing how to do a season pass properly, because it works out great. So moving from Ubisoft, we're going to jump over to Square Enix real quick. Now, this happened last week, but we didn't get a chance to touch on it. But Square Enix sent out this statement. Square Enix is excited to share some big news with you next year. Honestly, we wish we could share it with you right now, but we're taking a new approach this time. A new Tomb Raider game is coming. Driven by our goal of putting our fans first, we want you to know that it won't be very long between the official reveal and when you can play. Our journey together will begin with a major event in 2018. We simply can't wait to take you on Lara Croft's defining adventure. Now, it's a cool statement. Let everyone know, hey, look, Tomb Raider's coming, and it might be coming sooner than you think. And from when we announce it to when you actually get your hands on it, it'll be a short period of time. One thing that people kind of spotted, though, in this message is that the statement contains 7 sentences, and with the first letter of each sentence spelling out the word shadow. And while that would otherwise seem like a mere coincidence, previous reports have suggested that the third title in this rebooted series would be called Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So, very interesting. That's got to be it, right? Shadow of the Tomb Raider, boys?
No way that's a coincidence. They knew what they were doing with this. There's no way that the game is rumored to be Shadow, and then this is just some strange coincidence. I'm not buying that. I believe this is a little tip of the cap, a little hint that this is probably what's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Frankie, you excited to hear about the new Tomb Raider game? I mean, Rise of the Tomb Raider was a fantastic game. The whole rebooted franchise has just increasingly got better and better. You excited to get your finally learn about our new Tomb Raider game?
Absolutely. Rise is still one of the ones I want to go back and finish, but that's for me. Like Rise of the Tomb Raider kind of felt like Uncharted 2, right? Like the first Tomb Raider game was really good, had a lot of really cool concepts, but 2 just took those and it made the game that everyone wanted it to be. So I'm looking forward to not only finally getting to sit down and finish that, but my God, I think like they've finally like hit like what a Tomb Raider game should be like nowadays. So I can't wait to see where they take Lara next.
So moving on from Tomb Raider, we got to talk some more Monster Hunter World. Obviously, Frankie talked about earlier that the open beta begins this weekend. Monster Hunter series producer Ryozo Sugimoto recently announced during a live stream that the latest entry in the series, Monster Hunter World, will receive free updates post-launch. He's now clarified those comments, confirming that additional monsters will be added to the game as DLC free of charge. He also clarified that they are planning new monsters and such as part of the game's free updates with the specific goal of ensuring that players will play for as long as possible. So again, another good move for DLC, constantly adding monsters, keeping the game fresh for everybody, not just a select few who pay for a season pass or something like that. All new monsters will be constantly added to this game free of charge, and that's how you give a game its legs. So very, very cool stuff from Monster Hunter. Again, check out the open beta this weekend, December 26th. At noon Eastern December 22nd, noon Eastern to December 26th, noon Eastern. Hop in there. You don't have to have PS Plus. It's anybody on PS4 can download it and play it. No need for PS Plus. So make sure you check that out.
You know, I forgot to mention this earlier, but if you're playing on a Pro, this is one of those games that actually has various options for you. 3 options, not just 2, but 3.
Yep.
So you obviously have your performance mode, so you prioritize frame rate. Great. You have one that'll prioritize resolution. So if you want, I assume 4K, I imagine, you'll have that. And there's one that prioritizes graphics, which I think is pretty cool because the whole concept of the game, you're in this big like lush world hunting monsters. This graphics mode prioritizes like putting in grass, trees, like filling out the world more. So
right.
I don't know like how that's going to hit performance and resolution, but I think it's a cool option for them to stick in there. So if you're playing on a Pro, make sure you try out those different modes.
Yeah, you get 3 of them to choose from. It's pretty sweet. I remember because when I first fired up the beta, I remember it just showed up. It was like one of the first things you could choose. It was like right there. It was like, which one do you want to go with? I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize it. I know I picked performance, but I don't know. It was I didn't get past the first area where you could try out different things. I didn't actually select a mission. And I remember I picked performance. I couldn't really tell if that was running at 60 frames. I mean, could you guys tell? Did anybody? Oh, I mean,
I don't know. It's not Digital Foundry. I don't know.
I guess I'm the only one that can discern between 30 and 60, but it didn't look like it was running at a super smooth 60, but I'll have to try it again this week and maybe switch between the modes, and then I'll be able to tell. So
yeah, maybe it'd be noticeable like if you run it in that and then switch it to one of the other ones. Maybe.
Right, yeah. All right, so moving along, we have found out that developer Red Barrel's confirmed on Facebook it will make Outlast 3 at some point. But that during the first quarter of 2018, we will see the franchise debut on the Switch. Now, it's important to note that the studio said franchise and didn't specify if the collection or separate releases are coming. But obviously, Outlast 1 and 2, or both, or one of those, or just 2, not sure, will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. So that's awesome. Kind of curious to see how I mean, I don't know if I would even play that game in handheld mode. I mean, if you're playing Outlast, you're going for the full-on horror immersion. I don't think you can get that in handheld mode, can you?
You play the game in a closet.
With headphones sitting in a closet. Yes, I guess there you go. I guess my question's been answered.
I mean, you can get engrossed with a good pair of headphones. The screen's big enough where if you're in like a dark room, sitting on a couch, get a pair of headphones. Like you could be in the moment, but it's definitely not the same as like being on the big screen and running for your life with the surround sound or a good pair of surround sound headphones.
Now, Bender, I know you had no interest in streaming Outlast 2, and I respect that. But now that you're on the comfort of your Switch, you're in your comfort zone, the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, you would. Oh my gosh! Come on. All right. Additionally, Red Barrels also said that it is currently working on a new project set in the Outlast universe. Red Barrel said that while the first game was made to be open for the addition of DLC, that was not the case for Outlast 2. The team considered many options, but none of them felt appropriate as DLC for Outlast 2. Because of this, the studio is working on a completely new project that isn't a sequel to Outlast 1 or 2, but rather a distinct experience set in the Outlast universe.
Interesting.
Yeah, just picture you sending Bender like a cartridge in the mail, like you'll put like a Zelda, like some kind of like other sticker over
like
an Outlast
Pokemon
sticker
on the front. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's not a bad idea. We should try it. But then again, he would just try on the game and it would say Outlast, and he'd be like, "Nope."
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think Bender would just keep going? Like the title screen would pop up, and he'd be like, "Wait, this doesn't match the card. Let me keep."
This isn't Pokemon.
Going. Yeah.
Let me keep playing just to make sure.
Yeah. What's going on here?
Xenoblade Chronicles Cross.
Why is this guy eating this other guy? No, I'm sure Pokemon's gonna show up here in a moment to scare these guys off.
When is Link gonna show up?
Is that a naked
he beats
dude with
the
a
game.
cleaver?
Yeah, and then he beats the game. Oh, it was Outlast 2. Damn it, Brent.
Oh, you tricked me.
You sly dog, you. All right, let's keep it going. We've got some new game info. Conan Exiles gets an official release date. It'll be released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on May 8th, 2018. Developer Funcom announced the multiplayer Barbarian survival game will be leaving Steam Early Access and the Xbox One game preview program next year. The PC version will be priced at $39.99, while Xbox One and PS4 will cost $49.99. Conan Exiles will be getting a physical release version as well. You can now pre-order the physical Day 1 edition version of the game from select retailers, and it comes with a printed map of Exile lands, as well as the Conan's Atlantean? I'm going to go Atlantean. As well as Conan's Atlantean sword in-game item, which will only be available via pre-orders. Lastly, boys, a collector's edition of the game is also now available to pre-order. It features a custom comic book, 3 soundtracks from Age of Conan, Hyborian Adventures, Age of Conan, Rise of the Godslayer, and Conan Exiles, a physical world map, 6 digital comic books, a digital RPG book, a physical print art book, and a 6-inch Conan the Barbarian polyresin figurine. Wow. That's, I mean, dude, you got comics in there, boys. This is clearly geared towards you, correct?
Clearly.
Are you going to pick this up?
Probably.
Probably. More like absolutely. Now that we've got Conan Exiles out of the way, we could talk about one of Boyce's most anticipated games of 2018. Metal Gear Survive open beta info has been released. The open beta will be on PlayStation 4, Xbox One from January 18th to January 21st. Boys, make sure you have those days off. No PC beta has been announced for PC Master Race. You don't have to deal with this garbage. The beta will allow players to enter a co-op mode that sees them build, defend, and fight alongside friends online. Playing the beta earns players bonus items in the full game upon release, including a Foxhound nameplate, a Metal Gear Rex head accessory, and a bandana accessory.
Ooh.
So, boys, tell me where you're at on Metal Gear Survive. Is this day one? I mean, are you going to be in this beta all day, every day?
Probably not all day, every day. I'm going to try this out, though. It's an open beta, so I'll get in there and give this thing a fair shake and see what it's all about. But zero expectations for Metal Gear Survive. So I'm pretty much expecting this to be a train wreck. Anything above a train wreck is a win in my book.
Frank, you obviously Boyce is a glutton for punishment. Are you going to download this and jump in?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, wow. Awesome. Bender, are you going to complete the trifecta?
Nah, I don't think so.
Cool. Me and you will just go play Street Fighter 5. It's all good.
I'd love to see that.
No, you won't. It'd be terrible. All right. Let's jump into some Xbox bulletins. First up, PUBG hits 1 million players on Xbox One in 48 hours. Correction. PUBG has hit 1,000,001 players on Xbox One. Frankie Ayler is now on board. And again, that's in 48 hours. So clearly, PUBG is very appealing to people with an Xbox One. 1 million players in 48 hours. And to make the deal even sweeter, you can go out and buy an Xbox One X, and you'll get PUBG for free. I feel like if you want to push the X, yes, you can get the hottest game in the world for $30, but I mean, once you want to push something that actually pushes the architect, pushes the hardware.
So should give you Gears of War 4?
There you go. That's why we gave away Gears of War 4, courtesy of Jason. But obviously, if you go out and buy an Xbox One X beginning December 17th, today, as we record, for this week only, you'll get PUBG for free. So, boys, you can go out and buy an X?
No. I mean, what better way to show off your snazzy new $500 console than PUBG at 20 frames a second? I mean, that's
Whoa. No, the X version runs 23 frames a second.
oh, okay, excuse me.
Get it right. Give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Microsoft putting a lot of stock in this title, so I'm being facetious with this, but yeah, still strange that this would be with the X version of the console. I mean, wouldn't you bundle this maybe with the S as well?
No, that's the 10 frame per second game.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that one's really bad. No, I'm just joking. I played it on both systems. I mean, it's not ideal on either console. It's playable, but it's not where it needs to be on either console. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, this is just marketing 101. Xbox One X, most powerful console, and PUBG, the most popular game in the world right now. So, hand in hand, this will sell units. This will they'll see a little bump here from this, but. Like you said, boys, what better way to show off your $500 console than throwing out an incomplete game? So, now, the most interesting Xbox news from this week, Rare had a live stream go up, and they outlined Sea of Thieves progression system. Now, we were all been wondering, what the hell is this game about? We've been, a couple of us have been in the alpha. Unfortunately, we can't talk about it, but we got to see a little bit more about this progression system, which obviously is going to give you an idea of what you'll be doing in this game and how long you can be doing it for. But during this live stream, the Sea of Thieves team outlined two concepts: how the progression system works and how that progression system will be in step with Sea of Thieves' primary goal of playing with others. To become a pirate legend, the core objective of Sea of Thieves, players build reputation through exploits and adventures. This is acquired specifically from a set of different trading companies that represent your preferred playstyle. There are the Gold Hoarders, who offer treasure hunts, the Merchant Alliance, who will pay players to scout for supplies and ship resources and animals, and the Order of Souls, who task you with combat-focused challenges to retrieve magical skulls. Crystal skulls?
Oh, God, I hope not.
Oh, my goodness. Crossover. Each trading company's specific voyages increase reputation.
I can't wait
As
to
players-
get the mission for the lead-lined fridge. Like you
You
gotta
get to shoot Brent out of a cannon.
Oh,
search
my God.
out the lead-lined fridge, the fabled
Yeah.
lead-lined fridge.
Yeah, shoot it across a country and then just roll out of it and be like, ooh,
Yeah.
and put your hat back on.
Shake
Yeah,
it off.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, what a joke. That movie was so... Anyways, as players progress within a trading company, the more unique the rewards they'll receive. Although your reputation is your own, Rare reiterated that Sea of Thieves was designed from the ground up to allow people to play together. This means that players can share their quests with lower-ranked players. Nothing should come in between gamers playing together, said Rare. Once you achieve your status as Pirate Legend, Rare promises that you'll play a significant part in the golden age of piracy that's still to come. Become a Pirate Legend is really just the start for players, executive producer Joe Neat said, and is the jumping off point for how we plan to grow and evolve the game. As we look to grow Sea of Thieves beyond launch, we have clear plans for how we want to grow and evolve the experience. But we also want to listen to the community feedback about what they're most keen to see. We want to continue to give players new goals to achieve, new rewards to earn, and enrich the experience and the world. Bender, I know that you've been playing some of the alpha. Now that we've learned a little bit about this progression system based on the stuff that I've told you here, does this kind of give you a clearer picture of what you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis in Sea of Thieves?
Still, I mean, from what you just said, I still don't have a super clear picture of what the game is going to be like. What I'm still wondering is this game going to have any semblance of a story or a narrative to go through as you play? It doesn't sound like there is. Everything they've said and everything I've seen and experienced from the game, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any sort of a story, and that's going to be sorely lacking if it's not there. Because even if the things that you do in the game are fun, it's going to get stale very fast if there's nothing to tie it together. So that's what I'm worried about with Sea of Thieves, is that that there's going to be stuff for you to do, but with no narrative to tie it together, no through line or anything like that, I feel like it's going to be, a swing and a miss.
About 95% sure they've already said there's no story in this game. It's player-driven adventure stories. So essentially, it's what you make of whatever it is you're doing.
So basically, whatever these merchants or these what are they called? These guilds, so to speak, that are going to send you on those quests. Those are basically the stories.
Yeah. So your stories are going to be like the dumb shenanigans that you get into doing these missions. That's what they're going for with this. That's why I have no interest in this game. The second I read that, I was like, a rare game with no story. I'm good.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear in here when they talk about the progression system and they only reference the Pirate Legend, like becoming a Pirate Legend, like you said, through these trading companies. It sure as hell doesn't sound like there's going to be any traditional, narrative-based story mode in here.
And I mean, if you're creating this huge world about pirates, I want some kind of lore. I want some kind of story to what's going on, why we're doing what we're doing, and who these companies are. I mean, if there's just these companies that show up here, you can choose these that'll fit your play style. Yeah, but who are you people? Why are you sending me on these missions? Like, where's the story here? And I mean, I don't mind.
Why do I care?
Why do I care? But I mean, I don't mind missions. I mean, if there's missions there, and if the missions will open up new stuff and open up something that resembles some storylines or anything that's just going to give me an idea of the world that I'm in, then I'm okay with trying something like that out. But again, I know you guys talk about Rare. I mean, you want to see a Rare story. You want to see Rare dialing up a story, and it doesn't sound like we're going to get that here. But currently the alpha is underway again. There's another technical alpha going on right now. I'm going to try to get in there this weekend and maybe take a peek at it and see what's going on, because it sounds like they've made some changes to it. Again, we can't really talk about it yet, and it's got to be a little concerning that we're running these alphas and you still can't talk about it. I mean, you've got this game where there's so much confusion, and I wouldn't say confusion, but there's so much curiosity. People want to know what the game is about. At some point, wouldn't you want people talking about your game?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the same problem that I had with Fable Legends. Is the people I knew who were playing that, the stuff I've heard about that game the game sounded pretty cool, but the fact that there's nobody, you have people playing it, but you can't talk about it. Why? Don't you want people who are enjoying their time with it? And you have people like me out here who don't really fully grasp what this game is. Don't you want people who have the experience to be like, dude, this is what you do in this game, and explain it so that whatever point they're failing to get across, somebody, that we know can just tell me. No, for whatever reason that they're doing this again, where, you're playing this, but don't tell anyone about it. I don't understand that, especially this close to launch.
Yeah.
What I also thought was interesting about Sea of Thieves is the way they did the release date for the game. If you guys remember, they unveiled it at the Game Awards, but they did it in like a throwaway ad segment, like in between segments on the show. They
Mhm.
just rolled the date out on that and then just kind of moved past it. Like you'd have thought they would have made maybe a bigger deal about it, especially if it's going to be at the Game Awards. Like maybe they would have had something more substantial to reveal the release date for that game.
Mhm.
Mhm.
This is going to be a mysterious game right up to launch. I mean, you're just going to have everybody in alpha, and whether or not they like it or not, they can't talk about it. And I don't know. It's strange how they're handling this one. I wish they'd let people talk about it a little bit more. And like you said, maybe get some of these people who've been playing it a lot, kind of explain things a little bit better for the people that are still new to it or whatnot. But I don't know. We're getting closer to launch, but you can jump in the technical alpha. It's available right now if you got access to it. Go in there and check it out and see what kind of improvements have been made. So, moving along with Xbox One, Beholder is coming to Xbox One in 2018. Beholder, the complete edition, is a tactical strategy game set in a dystopian future where you'll play as a landlord in a totalitarian state. There are rules for everything, and any violation can see you put into prison or beaten up by the police. For instance, are you wearing jeans right now? Well, in this state, wearing or owning jeans is against state rules, so a beating for you.
Good.
Or even worse, state prison.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, I hope skinny jeans are allowed because I love rocking skinny jeans.
Dude,
What?
again with the visuals. It's like
So, yeah, you can expect Beholder, the complete edition, to drop in early 2018. Sounds like a crazy game. Kind of interesting sounding, though. But
yeah.
And then, lastly, Xbox celebrates players' achievements in 2017. This is actually pretty cool. Xbox players who log into xbox.com/year-in-review can see how this unique experience highlights individual achievements, top games played, hours spent playing, and much more, all pulled from billions of data points to deliver a unique dashboard experience for each and every gamer in the Xbox community. And I got my email and I popped it up and I could see that my 5 most played games. I think it might be not quite up to date because Call of Duty World War II isn't up there on that list. Neither is PUBG, and I know I played those more than I played Super Cloud Built.
It's through the end of October.
Oh, it's the end of October? Oh, okay. Well, that's why the numbers are a little off. I was going to say Assassin's Creed Origins. But there are a lot of cool stats, and there's a lot of good stuff in it. So make sure you check that out. If you didn't get it in your email, you can go to xbox.com/year-in-review to punch it in. Moving on from Xbox, Take-Two announces a new publishing label. Take-Two Interactive announced Private Division, a new publishing label for independent developers. As of right now, they already partnered to publish 5 games from 5 different studios. Those being an unannounced RPG from Obsidian Entertainment, helmed by Fallout creators Tim Kainand and Leonard Boyarsky. Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey from Panache Digital Games, studio led by Assassin's Creed creator Patrice Desilets. We've also got an RPG codenamed Project White from The Outsiders, studio founded by ex-DICE developers David Goldfarb and Ben Cousins. Another unannounced sci-fi first-person shooter from V1 Interactive. This is a studio founded by Halo co-creator Marcus Leto and Kerbal Space Program. So
Interesting.
this new publisher has got some promising titles already under its umbrella, boys.
Yeah, I mean, some heavyweights sounds like in their initial lineup here. Stuff like that Ancestors game has been gestating for a long time now. It's always sounded like a really cool game. Really curious to see how that one's gonna work out when it all pans out. And obviously this being under Take-Two Interactive, there's some publishing credentials there as well. So really curious to see all these games when they eventually come out.
Mm-hmm. Unannounced RPG from Obsidian Entertainment.
Yeah, that one's gonna be interesting for sure.
Indeed. And so that's going to do it for the news, which now brings us to the big segment of the show. We are going to talk about our favorite games of 2017. Now, we're not going to do a top 10 list or anything like that. We're just going to list off a couple of titles each, the games that really stood out to us, that really kind of influenced us, gave us a great year of gaming. Mr. Boyce, let's start with you first. I'm kind of curious what your 3 games are. I can't figure out what any of them would be. I'm totally baffled. So let's start with you, buddy.
I told you he's only played Sniper Elite 4 this year. That's it.
Yeah, Sniper Elite 4, one of the few games that I finished this year. Actually, 2017 we talked about for all year on the show. It's been a banner year for gaming, and my 2017 will be defined by the games I didn't play, so as opposed to the games I did play. So there's a ton of big time games that I haven't got to. I spent very little time with Horizon and with Zelda. I still haven't finished a lot of games that I started this year, and there's just near Automata, just tons of games that I haven't got to at all this year. So that's going to be a defining part of this year for me, and a big reason I didn't play a lot of those games is because of Destiny, just flat out. So at the beginning of this year, I was playing Destiny 1. So in the beginning of 2017, was playing that, was doing the Ages of Triumph stuff, was completing my record book for that. So spent a lot of time with Destiny 1, and then during the summer got a few games in here and there, and then during the fall, once Destiny 2 came out, like that's pretty much been the game I've predominantly been playing. So while I've put hundreds and hundreds of hours into gaming this year, most of that has been dedicated to Destiny. So the first game on my list obviously is Destiny 2. We've talked about Destiny a lot on this show, so there's not really too much more I can say about it. You guys know my feelings on it. It's not a perfect game. Obviously, we have issues with it. We've talked about it, but like I said, one of the things I like about being part of the Destiny community and I like about Destiny and Bungie in general is just how they evolve and change the game based on feedback from the players. So I understand it's the cool hip thing to do right now to hate on Destiny 2, and I get that, but those same people a few months from now, after some of these changes have been addressed, like they're going to be the people that are like, jumping for joy and playing Destiny once again. So this is kind of the cycle that we're in with this game. So I've enjoyed my time with Destiny 2. I love playing it. It's still in my opinion the best shooter on consoles, bar none, in terms of what I've played. So I enjoy getting in there and doing the milestones. I love doing the nightfalls with you guys. I am really itching to get back into the raid content for the game and experience that all the way through. So that's definitely on my list of things to do early in 2018. But yeah, like I said, not much more I can say about Destiny. It's a game I enjoy to play. It's like comfort food for me. Like when I sit down in front of my PlayStation and I'm not sure what to play, I'm just like, all right, well, let's just play Destiny. Like I understand that game. I know what I'm getting into. I know what I have to do when I get into there. So it's just it's just very comfortable to sit down and play that game. So I'm looking forward to what 2018 is going to bring with Destiny 2. I like the direction that they're going with it. I like all the changes that they're trying to make based on feedback. I like that they've got some plans in the works for 2018 to address some of the other things that we've been asking for. And yeah, just can't wait to see where we go from here. Can't wait to see the DLC early in spring for the for the Warmind DLC, and then curious if we're gonna get like a big expansion in the fall next year. But yeah, for 2017, Destiny 2 is one of my favorite games this year.
Awesome. Mr. Bender.
I've also enjoyed Destiny 2, by the way, but one of the first games I wanted to talk about is, of course, has to be The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. My game of the year. Shocker, I know. It's I've always been a fan of the Zelda games, but this game is unlike any other Zelda game I've played and any other game I've played, period, really. They made this massive world that's fun to explore. There's all kinds of different things to do in the game. One of the things I love about it is the fact that my experience is going to be completely different from your experience or anyone else's. There's different ways to approach different situations that you would encounter in the game. I just love exploring the world, climbing the towers and seeing a shrine off in the distance and putting a marker there, and then just jumping off and gliding with your glider to jump to find that location. Everything about it was just so much fun and so wonderful to find and discover and see what sort of secrets you can uncover. Breath of the Wild was just so much fun, and just to have it on the Switch, to be able to play it on the go, to have this massive world that you can take with you wherever you go, and traveling or at work or whatever, sitting on the toilet, just wherever you want to play, it's up to you. But just having that game as was one of the first big experiences on the Switch was just incredible, and I'm enjoying going back to play the DLC right now, and it's just been an awesome experience. It's one of my favorite games I've ever played, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know it's a great game. What I've played, I think I've got like close to 40 hours into it. I've only got 2 of the divine beasts defeated, but like you said, it's just a world that you just want to explore and continue to make your way through and discover what's hidden. And it is a fun game. It's a fantastic game. I'm digging it as well. So that's a good choice, Bender. Frankie, let's come to you. Your first choice for 2017.
Before I get into that, I just want to say that doing that the playing by the high rules with you and JD, ton of fun. Loved playing that game. Loved reflecting on everything that we did in it. So Zelda is definitely going to be on my list as well, but I'm not going to rehash Zelda again. So first game on my list is actually going to be Battle Chasers Night War. I still haven't finished this game. This is the only game I have on my list that I haven't actually, technically haven't finished. I would have, this is the game I was reviewing, and I lost my save to a corrupt save file. But the thing that really jumped this to the top of my list for me, because it was definitely on there, but it wasn't until that something happened with one of these Polygon guys where he thought his friend deleted his save, and like that somehow suddenly that game just dropped out of even top 10 contention for him. And eventually he went and found his save was still there. His friend just started in master mode or whatever. But when that got me thinking, Breath of the Wild is a great game, but getting back in there and building yourself back up to some of the challenges you have to overcome in that game, it's very time consuming and can be very frustrating. So that led me back to Battle Chasers. When that whole thing happened, I was bummed because I wouldn't have a review, but that's the only reason I was bummed, because it sucks losing 40 hours of a game, especially when typically you don't have that amount of time to dedicate to a game. But for me, I was just I guess I'll do a review in progress. But I didn't care. I was I'll restart Battle Chasers. That's totally fine with me. So it was at that moment I realized this game is something special. There are not a lot of games that I would lose my save after that amount of time invested and not lose my shit about it. So that game is amazing. I love the dungeons. I love the different characters. I think too, it's just because it's been so long since I've really invested in a turn-based strategy type of game. Kind of getting in there and figuring out which characters are beneficial to level up, and stuff like that is stuff I've learned in my first playthrough. I know now what kind of characters I should probably work on leveling up to tackle some of the later dungeons with. And even the fact that the dungeons are procedurally generated, even playing them again, you play those dungeons tons of times and you're going to get a different layout, different challenges, different puzzles, same boss fights, but still it's that game is just a ton of fun. I think it's just one of those hidden gems that people really need to check out, or hit up my Twitter page the next couple Fridays and maybe win a code.
Oh yeah, Frankie's been giving codes away all month, so make sure you follow him on Twitter. He's giving away codes, and it's a fantastic game. Battle Chasers, it's not only a fantastic game to play, it's beautiful to look at in motion. They released that patch on the Pro version where you can get 60 frames through the entire game, and it's just that game is so beautiful to look at, and seeing it at a high frame rate, it's gorgeous in motion. Great combat system, amazing soundtrack. There is so much to like about Battle Chasers. That is a fantastic choice, Frankie. Good job there, man. My first choice is going to be one of the first games I played in 2017, and that's Resident Evil 7. And I am so happy that Resident Evil has gone back to its roots. It's more focused on tension and surviving than it is just all-out gunplay. I mean, when you need to, the gunplay is there, but this is a much more Resident Evil game than the last 3 or 4 iterations. And it's just a fantastic cast of characters. The antagonists were terrifying. The setting was terrifying. The atmosphere was terrifying as well. There was so many good things about Resident Evil 7. It's hard to list them all, but it is just, as a fan of horror, the horror genre in terms of movies and games, Resident Evil 7 was just everything that I wanted from a Resident Evil game. When we first heard about Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, I was like, man, I really hope this is the Resident Evil game that we've all been waiting for a long time, and it delivered in spades. And then you add in the PSVR implementation, which changes everything. I mean, what is ultimately a terrifying game, playing it on the big screen, by thrusting yourself into that world with PSVR, it is one of the most just immersive experiences so far for PlayStation VR. And I can't stress enough, if you pick up Resident Evil 7 and you have a PSVR headset, I highly recommend playing through that game in VR, because I'm only a couple chapters in the VR, playing through VR, but I think about all the later levels that I'm going to encounter that I played through in the base game, not in VR, and I can't wait to check out more of that game in VR. So just a complete package, a terrifying experience, a return to form for a franchise that desperately needed it, plus exceptional VR implementation. Resident Evil 7 was one of the high points of 2017.
I really wish I'd finished that game. That's one of the ones I started. I think I was still at the boss fight with Jack.
Mm-hmm. One in the garage.
Yes. No.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that the one where he has the?
Oh, are you talking about the one where they're down in the basement, down that cellar, and you got the bodies hanging everywhere?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the one. Yeah. Because I did the car. Dude, that was freaky. That game is freaking cool. Like there's some legitimately freaky sections in that game. Some of them are just really stupidly hilarious. Like I remember the beginning with the hand, the dinner table.
Yes.
But no, that game, I want to go back and finish that game. I was thinking about picking up that gold edition, getting all the extra content, and getting in there and going back at it. But yeah, that's a solid choice.
It's seriously, it's a fantastic game, and I'm just so glad that Resident Evil 7 is back to what it's supposed to be, and that's survival horror. So, Mr. Boyce, your second choice.
Second game I'm going to mention is Super Mario Odyssey. It's I love Mario. It was great to see Mario return to a 3D type of game. Obviously, I've voiced my issues with the Switch on this show, but Mario is a great game. Like sitting down in front of my TV with the Pro controller and playing is a really great experience. So it's fun to just explore that world, look for all the different stars or moons, and it's just a classic 3D Mario adventure. It's very reminiscent of the old 3D Mario games. So if you've played those and you love those, like you'll kind of just slide right in to Super Mario Odyssey and go on this adventure here. So I still haven't finished Mario Odyssey. I've got to make some time to do that, but I've had fun with the time I've played it so far, and I'm kind of chipping away at it when I can, and definitely I'll keep playing to see it through to the end. Don't know if I'm gonna be able to hang in for all 999 moons, but but we'll see what the future holds there. But yeah, Mario Odyssey was what I was looking for out of the next Mario game. It's a really fun 3D Mario, and highly recommended if you are a Mario fan.
Indeed.
Boys, you have to at least get through the end of the game. I know you're wanting to go through and get every moon before you move on to the next kingdom. Trust me, you're gonna have to come back to these kingdoms anyway.
Yeah.
You need to get through and see how the game ends. It's so cool.
Yeah.
The ending is really good.
Yeah, I do want to get through it. I've been trying to get the moons I can get in the kingdoms. I know there's going to be more that unlock after you beat the game, and you can go back and do some other stuff. So I've been trying to clean up as many moons as I can as I'm going along here. But yeah, I do need to finish the game, and I should be able to do that not too much longer.
Okay, good. yeah. You have to see the end. It's cool.
I'm getting there. I gotta put some time in. I've been a little limited in terms of my outside of Destiny gaming time lately, so I gotta make some time for Mario.
Nice.
Christmas break, I should be able to wrap it up.
Cool. All right, so my next game that I want to talk about is Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a game that I enjoyed almost as much, if not as much, as Zelda. Ever since I saw the first trailer for this game, I was super interested in the whole concept. It's so unique and so interesting. You know, the dichotomy of the tone in the way that they mix, you know, people living in these tribes and hunting with bows and arrows and with mixed with this like futuristic technology and machines walking around and all that stuff is super interesting to me. I really enjoyed the story of the game. You know, I played it thoroughly. I got the platinum trophy, played all the side quests. The side quests themselves are really good. Every side quest, it feels like it has a meaning and a purpose, and you meet interesting characters, and it all comes together at the end when you see these characters again as you finish the story. I really love Aloy as a character. I think she's really cool, a really strong character who you know, handles herself and, you know, fights these machines and doesn't take crap from anyone. I like that a lot. It graphically is one of, if not the best looking game I've ever seen. The world is beautiful. The variety of locations that you visit, you know, you go from like wooded foresty areas to like desert areas to snowy mountaintops, and everything looks amazing and beautiful. It's the game that I, more than any game, it's the game that I wish I had a PS4 Pro to play because I just know it would look amazing on that system. But yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm super excited to have this new awesome IP from Guerrilla Games, and I can't wait to see more of it. The Frozen Wilds is a lot of fun as well. So I hope they start, if they haven't already, I hope they're starting to work on the sequel to this game, because I want to revisit this world. I want us to play more of it. I really enjoyed this game a lot.
You'll get Killzone 5 and you'll like it.
I think when you read that 2017 bestseller list earlier in the show, and Horizon was in that top 10 list, I think it's a pretty safe bet that more Horizon is in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
More Horizon is on the horizon.
Oh,
I
there
see what you did there.
Have a good rest of the year, folks.
I was gonna say he's got to go back to work soon here. So
Frankie's
Frankie,
been saving that one for 9 months. He's been sitting on that one.
He's like, man, I just need to show up at number 10 in the MPD. I just need to show up at the end of the year list for MPD. Frankie, your next choice for your favorite game of the year.
Before I mention it, Bender, I also have the Platinum Trophy in Horizon. The gameplay in that game is what I love the most about it. That game is just so freaking cool, hunting down robot dinos. And you unlock that ability, you can kind of hack them, so you have like the big bird guys fighting for you. Way better when they're fighting for you than trying to fight those damn things.
Oh my god, yes.
Jeez. But
that was another thing I forgot to mention, is the feeling of triumph when you first take down like a really tough machine, like a Thunderjaw or a Stormbird. Yes. The first time I took those two down particularly, like it was just amazing. Like because when you first see them, you're like, oh crap, no, I'm not ready for that, and you run away.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're like, okay, I gotta try to take this thing down, and you fight it, and it's a hard battle, and you finally take it down, and it's just incredible.
Yeah,
love that game.
That was like my first encounter with the Stormbird. Was I wandered into that area and saw it flying around, and I was like, yeah, nope. Headed into like the village, and like, oh, you have to go up in these mountains. I'm just like, no, just walked here from there. But that game, I really enjoyed it. Not going to land in my top 5. It's going to be in my top 10, but probably not going to land in my top 5. Just this year's been crazy. Like I played so many games this year. I actually had a hard time assembling a list. So. Mm-hmm. But Horizon was excellent. I need to get my disc back from Jamie so I can finally play the Frozen Wilds. That would be nice to do before the end of the year. Won't happen, but I could dream. Next game on my list is Yakuza 0. I think this is one of the first couple games I played this year. This is coming out. I wanted to make it a point to kind of try to check out the Yakuza games from the beginning, if you will. And I loved it. Like I think to date this is still my favorite story of the year. The game, there's just so much action in the game, but I mean, like the pacing of the story, like just the way everything in that game flows is perfect to me. It definitely it has me like hooked on the Yakuza games. I really want to sit down and play through the other ones. We have 6 coming out in March, so I would like to sit down and play through 1 through 5. Although I keep going back and forth because I kind of want to wait until Kiwami 2 comes. I assume it's going to come over here. But then at least I'll have literally all of them and not have to pass on 2 for now. But yeah, Yakuza 0 is fantastic if you've ever kind of been afraid to jump in there, because it is very, very story heavy. A lot of cutscenes. I think I put about 35 hours into my playthrough for that game. But there's a lot to take in, and so if you're not willing to sit down and read a lot of subtitles, maybe it's not for you. But I promise you, the story that unfolds is worth it. The characters are really cool. And I mean, I didn't really know a whole lot about Majima. I didn't know he was kind of like this prominent, wild card character in the series. So you kind of see his origins and understand what makes him tick. So, yeah, just a lot of really great things about this game. And it was sitting at the top of my list too. But like I said before, with Battle Chasers, like, man, so good. But Yakuza 0, definitely a close second.
I gotta get back into I gotta try these games out, dude. I know I ordered what one did I get for the Steelbook? Was that Yakuza 0 this year that I got from Best Buy? Kiwami. I got Kiwami. And I have the 6 pre-ordered one with the shot glasses.
Yeah.
I have that pre-ordered. So eventually I gotta sit down and try these games out, because I've seen your videos of it. You got a couple videos on YouTube. The game looks fun. It looks like it's got some good, like, hilarious moments as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the combat looks great, and so I do definitely want to check out one of these Yakuza games at some point.
Yeah.
I would really like to jump into that.
Yeah, definitely. I'd definitely recommend starting at 0, because, like I said, it is very, very story heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my problem too. Is I hopped into 5 back in 2013 when that finally came out, and it's just like the opening hours of that game. It's so obvious. Like, I have no idea who any of these characters are. There's obviously like very established history with everybody. So at that point, I was like, I want to try getting into these, but I want to go back. But at that point in time, it was tracking down a PlayStation 2, and Yakuza 1 and 2 were ridiculously expensive. So, we're finally hitting a point now where we have a prequel to that. They've remade 1, they're remaking 2, and I have 3 through 5 readily available on the PS3. So it's a little more feasible nowadays. But if you're going to get into those, totally recommend you start at 0.
Okay. I'll see if I can make that a point in 2018. But the backlog is just out of control right now. So thinking about adding to it just is not appealing right now. But for my next game, look, the Nintendo Switch has had a banner year. It's been a great year for Nintendo. The Switch took off. It's been a huge success. 10 million units sold now. It's on its way to being one of Nintendo's most successful systems ever. And, we've seen some great games. We've seen The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. We've seen Mario Odyssey. Mario Kart 8, despite that damn blue shell, is a fun racing game. But, the game that stood out to me was the game that we had little to no interest in when it was first announced.
ARMS?
We were well played. But it's a game that we all, when we heard about, we were like, this, what? Like, what is this? It's and that's Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And the reason that game is just so appealing to me is because, I know what The Legend of Zelda is. I played a lot of open world games, and Super Mario Odyssey is more Mario 3D Mario, and that's great. And, there's been a lot of great games that have come out on the Switch, but Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle is another take on, like, the XCOM genre. But it was just so damn quirky and just so goofy, but the combat, the gameplay is so deep. There's so much strategy involved. And don't even get me started on the boss battles. Some of the boss battles in that game are absolutely epic, like fantastic, well done boss battles that are very, very challenging. There's just so much about this game that I've really enjoyed. And I love the fact that you can just literally pick it up on the go, play through a mission, set it down, go back to work. Or you can be in the middle of a battle and you just wait, because it's turn-based. You pick it up, play a couple turns, set it down, go back to doing what you're doing. It's a game that I never just get tired of picking up and playing. I don't play it as much as I wish I could, but it's just one of those games that feels right at just about any time that I pick it up to play it. And I'm just so glad that we gave it a chance. I know, Bender, you've played it, and Frank, I know you've played it. We've all really enjoyed this game for what it is. And it's just a testament, because, man, when this thing first got announced, we all were like, ugh, this sounds terrible. And lo and behold, it turns out to be just a fantastic strategy game. And I'm really glad that Ubisoft and Nintendo partnered for this, because it is a great game, and they're constantly adding stuff to it. So not only is it one of my favorite games of 2017, it's the most surprising game of 2017.
Definitely.
So, Mr. Boyce, another game from you, sir.
There's a lot of other games I could mention here, but obviously I play a lot of indie games. Do the indie spotlight here every single week. So there's a lot of things I could pick out from that crowd. Like Nex Machina comes to mind from Housemarque, one of my favorite developers. That's an excellent game that they assembled this year. The one I'm gonna put the spotlight on though is Sundered from our friends at Thunder Lotus. Sundered, just to drop that gorgeous game. I mean, maybe the best animation ever seen in a video game. Just the way that game looks in motion is incredible, and you see some of these just insane character creature designs. The art direction, the design in that game is just absolutely phenomenal. Especially when you take into account this is a very small team that's working on this game. I mean, there's probably 10 to 15 people at Thunder Lotus that are making these kind of games. So was a fan of them after Jotun, and continued to be a fan of them after Sundered. Sundered was kind of a slow burn at first. It's a very different kind of take on the Metroidvania genre, so to speak. There's roguelike elements in the game that you got to take into account, and there's the way you fight in this game. You fight hordes. So there's just tons of enemies coming at you at once. There's no moment to moment battles with enemies in the game. There's no pre-existing enemies. Like, you go into a room and you fight guys and you move on. At any moment as you're exploring this world, you could just be mauled by a mass of dozens and dozens of enemies. So it took a little getting used to when I first started that game. I was like, man, I don't know if I like this, and I don't know if I like having to fight these hordes and not being able to just like explore the world at my leisure. Like, I don't know if I really like this. But like, the more I got into it, then I started to get hooked. I started to find my abilities. I started to unlock new areas and started to encounter the bosses and the sub bosses, and then I started to what do you call it when you embrace the darkness in that game? You corrupt your powers. Yeah, and I started to corrupt my powers and get these kind of next level abilities to my character. And once I got going in there, I was hooked. Played through the game, really enjoyed it. It's a long game too. I mean, we're talking a 20-hour experience here in a Metroidvania game. The skill tree in that game is absolutely epic. There's a ton of different stuff you can unlock for your character. I was constantly getting stronger as I went along, and that's always something that I want to feel in a Metroidvania game. Like, I want to feel like I'm getting stronger. I want to go back to that first area I went to and just absolutely destroy any enemy that's in that area in like one hit. It's a great feeling as you kind of level up, and that game is tough. That's a hard game. Like, when you get towards the end, the final area that you're in that game is difficult. The final boss is hard. There's multiple final bosses you can unlock depending on how you play the game. The one that I unlocked, I believe is the hardest one, but that battle took me a while to figure out exactly what I was supposed to do and how to tackle that. But once I finished that battle, it was a really satisfying feeling. And it's a game I'm actually close to getting the platinum in. I guess I got to finish this last playthrough that I'm on, and I kind of got distracted when I was in the middle of this one and got away from it. But at some point, I want to go back, finish this last playthrough, get the platinum in Sundered. It's a fun game if you're a Metroidvania fan. It's just once you get into the groove and you're hacking and slashing through the levels, it's just you kind of get entranced by it, and it's just, like I said, it's just exceedingly beautiful to look at. The game has some technical issues here and there. Some of the major ones have been ironed out, but there's still a few lingering issues in the console version of the game. I haven't played the PC version, so I don't know if that differs on that front. But that doesn't detract from the overall experience of that game, though. When you get in there and you kind of get past these hiccups here and there, it's a fun game. It's just a deep game. It's just something I recommend if you're a fan of the Metroidvania genre. Just be prepared for a little bit of a different experience.
Yeah, I don't know, for my money, if there is a better like artistic design than what Thunder Lotus puts into their games. Obviously, Jotun was a beautiful looking game. Sundered's a beautiful looking game. The only other studio that I would say comes close in terms of the beauty of their games is Arcade Distillery, with some of their titles. I mean, some of their games are just absolutely beautiful, but Thunder Lotus just has a way with this animation style that just looks gorgeous in motion no matter what's going on screen, whether it's just you exploring an area or if you're being mobbed by a horde of enemies. Just everything has this its distinct movement style and how it looks and how it moves, and it's a beautiful looking game, and the soundtrack there is really good as well. So yeah, that's a fine choice. I was wondering if that was going to end up on your list because I know you really like that game, especially the way it opened up the further you played along. Because I remember first you were like, man, this is just a real slow burn, but the more it opens up, the more you upgrade your character, you start to feel that power, and then the game really just starts to take off from there.
Yeah, it's tough at first. You're getting killed. You're trying to figure out what's going. It's like, dude, I'm just trying to figure out how to play this game, and I keep getting attacked by the 40 enemies at once. Like I just want to figure out what I'm supposed to do. So there's a little bit of that at the beginning of the game as you're trying to get your bearings, and you're just like, man, I just want to get from point A to point B, and I keep dying and going back to the beginning and trying to figure that stuff out. So there's a little bit of that definitely, but if you can get through that initial hump and you can kind of get into the meat of the game will enrapture you, and you will be hooked on it, and you will play it through and have a good time with it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Bender, your third and final game, please.
Yeah, the third game I wanted to highlight for this year, it's an indie game, so it may not have gotten as much attention as it deserved, especially when compared to some of these other AAA games that have come out, and it's Mages of Mystralia. It's a game that I had the privilege of reviewing for the site, but even before that, my first experience with it was when I went to PAX South back in January, and I had a chance to play it. I didn't come across the game until about 30 minutes before the show ended on Sunday. So I sat down and started playing this game. The guy, working for the developer described it as The Legend of Zelda meets Harry Potter. So I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. So I played through one of the dungeons, and I did not want to put the controller down. When the came time to leave, I was like, man, I wish I would have came across this game earlier. So I was eagerly awaiting the day when I would be able to play it again. So we got a review code, and I had the chance to play through the whole game, got the platinum trophy, and the game is just a lot of fun. If you like old school like Zelda type games, you'll really enjoy this one. The hook of Mages of Mystralia is that you're a mage and you can craft your own spells. So as you're exploring the world, you come across these runes that you can insert into your spell book, and they will allow your spells to take on different properties. So that's the most fun part of the game, is every time you discover a new rune, it's exciting to be able to experiment and try it out and see what it does to change your spell. Like you can shoot a fireball and it's like, oh, well, this one makes it split into 3, or this one makes it home into enemies, or this one makes the fire rain down from the sky, or all kinds of awesome things that you can do in this game. And it's just really, really cool and really unique. I've never played a game quite like it before. I also enjoyed the music is great. The cartoony art style is really colorful and crisp, and I enjoyed it a lot. The story, it has a decent story with fairly deep lore that they got a professional writer to contribute to the story. So yeah, like I said, I played it. I enjoyed it enough that I wanted to get the platinum trophy. So I did everything in the game. So yeah, if you like that type of game, if it sounds like something that's right up your alley, definitely check out Mages of Mystralia. It is a fantastic game.
Yeah, I played through a little bit of that, and it is a beautiful looking game. That's a good choice.
One of the only games to get a 5 out of 5 on our website.
Yeah, a glowing review.
Yeah, first one I've ever given a 5 to. So yeah.
Yeah,
it deserved it.
It's a great game. Were you going to say something, Frankie?
I was just gonna say we got to interview Patrick Mondau earlier this year from them. That was one of my favorite interviews that you guys got to do. He seems like a very genuinely passionate guy. So just listening to him talk about that game was really cool. Also really enjoyed that game too. I think I need one more trophy to get the platinum. So really enjoyed my time with that one too.
Awesome. Franklin, another game from you, sir.
Trying to decide which one to do here. Okay, so these are going to be totally out of order. Obviously, the way you're listening to them now is not how they're going to appear when I type them up for the site. The next one I want to highlight is going to be the Sexy Brutale. So this one is kind of like that like murder mystery Clue type of game where you're trying to solve these murders in this casino mansion. And I just the game I love that game. It's the style of it is really cool. It's from a developer named Cavalier Studios, and I believe Tequila Works actually helped with the art style of the game. So just exploring that mansion and kind of solving all these different ways these guests are dying is really cool. You kind of branching out into different wings of the mansion as you're progressing the story. So just a lot of really cool stuff in that game. The puzzles are a lot of fun. The music is great. The story itself just takes a couple of weird twists that I didn't see coming. So as you progress through it and get towards the end of the game, it's really cool. There's a couple different endings as well. And there's actually it's cool because the collectibles in the game it's a deck of 52 cards that you kind of find throughout the game, and there's something you find accidentally earlier in the game where if you give this guy the cards, it triggers one of the endings too. So but yeah, I really enjoyed that game. I think it flew under a lot of people's radars this year, unfortunately. But I think it's actually the first game I've ever gotten the 1,000 gamer score on. Mm-hmm. So I picked up the PlayStation version in the sale. I actually imported it initially because I didn't think it was going to get a physical release here, but I wanted the soundtrack, so I'm actually going to be sending that game up to JD, so he's going to have a physical copy of that pretty soon. But yeah, I got it on the PS4. I want that platinum trophy. That game is that enjoyable. I would love to play through it again. So fantastic game. Highly recommend it. If you happen to listen to this for that sale ends, $10 on the PlayStation Store, go buy it. Trust me, it's a great game.
Didn't it just come out on the Switch too?
Yes, just dropped on the Switch last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
I don't know,
yeah,
week, but
I see it.
I know
I've seen it on there.
Yeah, I know they're working on a patch. I guess there's some technical hiccups with it right now, so they're working on patching it. But yes, it's also available on Switch, which is probably still a good way to play that game.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I know you spoke very highly of that one. I still have yet to play it, and I do want to play it because I know, the things you've said about it. It sounds like it's an entertaining ride, and so I'm definitely curious in Sexy Brutality. So that's a fine choice there, Frankie. For my last pick, it's a game that there was so much hype behind it close to launch, and it's one of the few games that where I get hyped for it and it actually delivers and exceeds my expectations, and that's Hellblade from Ninja Theory. And Hellblade is one of those games where it had the $39.99 price tag, and not everyone was sure what kind of experience we were going to get, but Ninja Theory said it was $29.99. Sorry, $29.99 game, and we weren't sure if it was what kind of experience we were going to get from it. And it's that Ninja Theory labeled it as a AAA independent title. And jumping into Hellblade, I wasn't prepared for the experience that I was about to have with this. And everything about Hellblade is aces. From the motion capture to the performance by Melina Jurgens as Senua, to the atmosphere, the presentation, the soundtrack, everything about Hellblade is incredible. But it's the story, the struggle of Senua through the story, dealing with psychosis and hearing the voices. The audio work in this game is exceptional. It's exceptional. It's some of the best audio work I've heard in the game. If you ever play Hellblade, make sure you're playing with stereo headphones. Don't use surround sound. Just use stereo headphones and let the 3D audio work. Because when you hear the voices talking in her head, the way that the audio works, you are in tune with Senua. You are experiencing what she's experiencing. You're hearing what she's hearing. The combat is fluid. There's an awesome combat system. It's a dark, terrifying world, and you're with Senua the entire time. And it just, from start to finish, that's the only game this year where I was like, I have to go home and play this. I have to go home and continue this game. I have to finish this game. I want to finish it now. And I hope anybody with a PlayStation 4 or a PC goes out and picks up Hellblade, because it really is an exceptional experience. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, something that it's very powerful, it's very moving, and you can tell Ninja Theory took great care in developing the story, took great care in learning about psychosis and how to implement it into a game so you can understand what people go through. It's an exceptional game. There's no other word for it. It's exceptional. And I would like to give away a copy of Hellblade to one of our listeners or viewers. All I'm asking is I want to hear what your favorite game of 2017 is. Send us an email, podcast@shortpause.com. Let us know what your favorite game of 2017 is. Leave your Twitter handle if possible, and I'll go through and read all these emails, and I will pick one and send you a copy of Hellblade. It's that type of game. It's just so damn good. I want to get it to somebody who hasn't played it yet. So just write us an email, your favorite game of 2017. I'll pick one out and I'll send it to you. If you do gonna partake in this, send the email in by Friday this week, December 22nd. That'll be the cutoff. I'll check all the emails, and I'll pick a winner, and I'll announce it on Twitter, and I'll send you an email with the code for Hellblade. But just an exquisite game. It's fantastic, and it's easily my favorite game of 2017. All right. Well, before we wrap things up, I know, Bender, you had a couple other games you wanted to mention as well, like honorable mentions, correct?
Yeah, just a couple of quick ones that I wanted to give some shout-outs to. I wanted to give a shout out to What Remains of Edith Finch by Giant Sparrow. Mm-hmm. It was definitely on my list of one of my favorite things I've played this year. A very unique game with a unique narrative. You explore this house, and then you experience these different stories from these different family members of the Finch family that you learn about. But each one is different. Each one plays a little bit differently. It's very the stories are very sad. There's like very tragic but also whimsical in some way. Mm-hmm. And the ending, when like I've said before, the ending brought me to tears. I think it was definitely deserving of the best narrative award that it got at the Game Awards. So it was a fantastic game, and I think you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. And then the other one I wanted to talk about, sadly, was Marvel Heroes Omega. I know it's a game that came out several years ago on PC, but it just came out on consoles this year, and I wasn't even aware of it before it came out on consoles. So I just discovered it this year, played it a lot, really enjoyed that game. Very sad that it was discontinued and shut down, but I'm very thankful that I had the chance to get the platinum before they shut it down. I did a couple of very late, like 4 a.m. nights grinding out that last trophy, but I got it done, so I was happy to get that done. But I am going to miss that game. That was a really cool game, and I hope we get something similar at some point from some other developer, maybe. But it was a very interesting and fun game to play. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm really impressed that you got the platinum. That takes some dedication and some willpower. Boys, no, correct me, you got the platinum too, correct?
You can go yourself.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool. I just wanted to clarify for the listeners and viewers. But Bender, did you have any more games?
That's just real quick on that too, Bender. I'm glad you mentioned Marvel Heroes, man. I had that written down here as well. I didn't get to spend as much time playing it as you did or as I wanted to, but that last week that when we found out that Marvel Heroes was shutting down, like I hopped in there pretty hard and played it for good like 15, 20 hours over that weekend, and really started to enjoy the game, really like got invested in it, really started to like it. And I was just hoping against hope that maybe those servers would hold out so I could play it a little bit longer. But they ended up getting shut off, and that was like depressing for like a week, man. I didn't even want to play anything. I was like, this sucks, man. I was really getting into this game. Like it just, I wanted something like that to play, and I didn't have anything else like that. I've got the Ultimate Alliance games. I guess I could go back and play those. But yeah, it was just like there was just like a gaping hole in gaming there for like a week or two for me. That was really depressing. So wish Marvel Heroes could have stuck around, man.
I'm gonna really enjoy asking you about whether or not you get the platinum multiple times down the road, if I know it just brings that kind of a gray cloud over your head. So,
thanks, man. You're a true pal.
That's what I'm here for. Benner, do you have any other games?
I mean, there's others I could mention, but I'll let Frankie have his turn.
Franklin,
Yeah,
your
go on,
turn.
Go for it.
Okay, two more. Okay. I thought I really enjoyed Rhyme. It's not a perfect game. It had its issues, but I thought it was a really interesting game, especially near the end. There's definitely some Miyazaki influenced elements in that game, which I thought was very interesting. But I enjoyed that game quite a bit, and the art style was really cool, and it was a lot of fun. Another game I had a chance to review, which was awesome. And then also Metroid: Samus Returns on the 3DS. That was a very, very good game. I was so happy to be playing a real Metroid game for after all these years. I was thrilled. Wish it was on the Switch, but I was thrilled to be able to play that game and thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So those are the other ones I wanted to mention.
I thought for sure you're gonna say ukulele.
That was a good one too. There's so many good games this year. I wish I could talk about all of them, but it'd be a 4-hour podcast.
Yeah.
All right, Frankie, we got to hurry up and get through yours because I got to talk about Perception still. So go ahead.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'll buzz right through these. I just have a couple more I wanted to mention. The Surge. This is the first one of those Souls type of games I've ever finished. Had the good fortune of being able to review that earlier this year too. So it was really cool finally conquering one of those games because some of those boss fights are really challenging. Brent, I know you messed around with that game too. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, seeing that game through to completion was really cool. Also, that game itself is just really great. So if you're into those games, definitely check out The Surge. Shadow of War, I mentioned earlier. I love this game. I've probably dumped about 50 hours into it. I just bought the season pass. So I have the Outlaw and the Slaughter Tribes I'm going to start messing around with here pretty soon when I jump back into the game. I am in the middle of Act 4. I mean, you could consider Act 3 the ending of the game. Act 4 gives you the true ending, if you will. But Act 3 in that game is seriously one of the coolest moments of any game this year. So, I haven't messed with any of the loot stuff that I know people were whining about and, concerned about. But I do. I love that game. The expansions, the Nemesis system, even just the scope of that game compared to the first one, it just felt like a massive improvement. Even the story, the story in this game was way better than Shadow of Mordor. So where Wolfenstein kind of stumbled in the gameplay, I felt Shadow of War really improved upon the first game in every way possible. Halo Wars 2 was another one I wanted to mention. I don't really ever get into strategy games often, but the story of that game was really great, and just actually getting in there and understanding the different roles, the different troops and all that. It was really enjoyable. Like I said, the story was great. Soundtrack is fantastic. That's another one. I also just bought the Nightmare DLC for, so I want to get back in there and play that. And then just two more I want to mention really quick. Last Day of June. This is kind of in the vein of Edith Finch. You're kind of playing through these different characters as they have a different role in the outcomes of this day. And, something tragic happening. So you're kind of trying to play through and go back in time and stop this from happening. So it's another game I finished. And it's a very sad game, much like Edith Finch, but definitely worth your time playing it. It's a fantastic game. And then this one did not come out this year, but I have to mention it because this is my game of the generation by far, and that's The Witcher 3. I've wanted to sit down and play this game since 2015, and I never had the time. Even my typical work schedules would never allow it, working the two jobs. I have a part-time and a full-time, but since that full-time more or less became a part-time, I don't have to get up that early in the morning, so I have more time at night now. So the second that went into effect, I installed The Witcher 3 and sunk the 76 hours or whatever ridiculous amount of time into it. And it's seriously one of the most satisfying games I've played this generation. JD talked about it a lot, and he compares it to Zelda a lot, and it is in a lot of ways. It's like an adult themed Zelda game, but it is the combat. I enjoyed it. The story is fantastic. A lot of the side stuff in that game is really cool. The different contracts, just everything about that game, I love. It's actually funny because Jen got me a bunch of Witcher shirts for Christmas, and I have Witcher attire. So, but yeah, I absolutely love it. Highly recommend it. If you haven't if you haven't yet, definitely give that game a shot. It's a special game. So that's all I'm going to mention here.
Awesome. And there you have it. Those are our favorite games of 2017. We want to hear from you as well, so make sure you hit us up on Twitter at The Short Pause or send us an email, and you might get a code for Hellblade on PS4 if you do that. But we do want to hear your thoughts on the games of 2017, which ones you loved, which ones let you down, anything. We want to hear from you. Podcast at shortpause.com. And that's gonna kind of wrap up the show in 2017. So you guys, it's that time of year. It's the holiday season. We're going to be off for the next 2 weeks. There won't be an episode next week or the week after, but we'll be back the first weekend of January. And, we're excited to bring you guys new content for 2018. We got some nice plans. But I do want to take a moment just to really thank the listeners and the viewers and the people that have been supporting us for the last 3 or 4 years. It really means the world to us. The people that write in, that share their feedback, the people that go over to iTunes and give us the reviews, the people that comment here on YouTube. It's all so greatly appreciated, and it drives us. It makes us want to get better. It makes us want to keep doing this because we want to just create content. We want to create a show that everyone can just listen to and have a good time. Talk about games and the industry and everything that goes on behind the scenes. That's what gaming's all about. We want to just talk about everything, not just the games, but everything that goes on behind the scenes that goes into making those games. And, kudos to Frankie. He set up some cool stuff this year where we had developers on the show. He mentioned Patrick Mondeau. We had Michael Havery from Housemarque. We had David Jaffe, the father of God of War. And it's just been a spectacular year in terms of the podcast. We introduced the video version, and we've had developers on to kind of give you a look at what goes on to creating games and the worlds that you love to play. So kudos to you, Frankie, for setting that stuff up. And just working with you guys on a weekly basis with this podcast has just been an awesome experience. It is every single year, but this year was different because we went to the video version and we've seen the show grow, and it's just been a fantastic ride. And I love you guys so much, and I know it takes a lot to get out, to give up your Saturday night plans to be here to record late into the night. But your efforts, your enthusiasm, your motivation, everything just comes through on every episode, and I love you guys very much, and I can't tell you how much you guys mean to me with you and what you do for this show. It's just it's a blast every single night that we record, or whether we're streaming or just chatting in Discord. It's you guys are my best friends, and I love you guys very much, and I appreciate your efforts.
Aw, thanks, man.
But you guys got anything for the viewers or for the listeners you want to say, Bender?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we really appreciate anyone who listens to the show or watches us on YouTube or comments or interacts with us. I mean, we love that stuff. It's been a fun ride, being on this show, and I always look forward to it every week. And I hope the listeners and viewers enjoy and look forward to it as well. So we'll keep doing our thing and keep trying to improve, and look forward to 2018 and see what it brings.
Yes, sir. Boys?
Yeah, man. I obviously echo everything that you had to say. Thank you for the kind words, and all of that stuff is reciprocal, man. It goes right back on you. So you put a ton of effort into this site, into the podcast every week. You construct this whole thing, you produce it, you edit the videos and the audio stuff that we do on a weekly, monthly basis. So, my hat's off to you, man, for everything that you do for the site. Said it before, couldn't ask for a better partner in all this. And then obviously Frankie and Bender, these guys bust their ass week in and week out for us. Frankie took over the new releases, this year. And it's helped me put together the podcast on a weekly basis. So he's done a great job with that. Does a great job walking us through the new releases every week when he's here. So I really thank you, Frankie, for stepping up and taking care of that. It's been a huge help to help get the show on track. And obviously Bender being here just consistently whenever we need him. Whenever we need something, if we need something, we know that we can ask Bender, and it's gonna get done. So whether it's a review, whether it's an article, whether it's being on a podcast, whatever it is, like Bender's always there when we need him. So to have somebody as reliable as you is a huge asset to Short Pause as well, man. So we just we appreciate everything that you guys do for the site on a weekly, monthly basis. And we're just four dudes like talking about games. Like we don't get paid for this. We don't do anything. We're nothing special. We just have a passion for gaming. We have come together and been able to gel and create a program that we enjoy making, and we hope that the listeners enjoy listening to. And so it's been a lot of fun as it has been for the past few years. So really looking forward to 2018, what we're gonna do next year. Can't wait for that. And obviously a huge thank you to the listeners and the viewers of the show. This has been a big year for us. We've really made strides to develop our YouTube channel, and it's grown in leaps and bounds this year. So to know that our shows and our videos go out to hundreds and hundreds of people on a weekly, daily basis is pretty cool. And there's people that enjoy the content that we make. We hear from you guys. We know that you're out there, so we really appreciate that. And like you guys said, 2018, we've got lots of stuff gestating around in these noggins here. So we're gonna get out to you guys in various forms. But there's gonna be some cool stuff with the website, cool stuff with the YouTube channel, cool stuff with the streams that we do. So can't wait for it. 2018 looking to be another banner year for gaming. I mean, Spider-Man's coming out in 2018. So so can't wait. So we'll like you said, we'll be off for a couple of weeks. We'll be back at the beginning of the year with our traditional New Year's resolutions, anticipated game show. So looking forward to doing that. And it's been a really great year. Like Brent said, love all you guys. Looking forward to next year, man.
Awesome. Francis.
I mean, basically everything you guys said. I love you guys. You guys are, like Brent said, you guys are my best friends. So, I'm excited about next year. I know we've got a couple things that I'm really excited about. I want to be a part of. So, it just it's enjoyable. Like Ben mentioned, I got to take over the new release list, which I think has been really fun. Very challenging because Ben's very informative, but very as concise the word I want to use, or I don't know. It's 3 a.m. My brain doesn't work anymore. But he's able to kind of whip through that. So I'm still kind of trying to come into my own of being just as informative and get through the list in a reasonable amount of time. So it's the crunch, especially Nintendo wants to shove 30 games out on a day. So it's a bit of a challenge, but it's worse because now we know about them most of the time, and it's just awful. I like being in the dark on Nintendo releases now. But I mean, no, I've always, that's done the one thing I've always paid attention to, because I'm always trying to what games I want to buy, what's coming out, what I need to worry about setting money aside for. So it's always been like something that I've tried to do on my own anyways. So kind of taking over and doing that here has been a lot of fun. And even just this year, like you alluded to, we got a lot of really cool review copies, which, like you said, most of it probably fell on Bender. I can't tell you how many times I text Bender like, hey, we might get like a review code for ukulele. Would you be able to do that? Or like worms or like mages, like anything like that. I'm like, Bender, you got time for this? So it's been great having Bender there to rely on being able to knock those things out, because like I can't. I know we've all got all of us have very busy schedules. Bender too. So for him to be able to find the time to knock some of these games out, it's great. And I don't know, I enjoy having people to talk about my gaming experiences with. This is a hobby I'm very passionate about. A very passionate man. So having guys who are equally as passionate about gaming, and especially like Bender, like I can talk to somebody about Xenoblade, and then I'll be playing a shooter. I can talk to Brent, playing Fly Wrench. I could talk to boys. So just like having people.
I got all the Fly Wrench for you right here.
So it is. I enjoy it. Getting to like have a group of people. Like I gotta go digging around on Twitter for some asshole to pop up and be like, oh yeah, that game sucks. Like, thanks, Betty. Go to you guys and have you guys tell me a game sucks. That's good.
We're much more credible.
Yeah, exactly. So this has all been a lot of fun. I feel very fortunate to be a part of this, and look forward to next year. And thank you all to the listeners too.
We got a road trip next year too. We're going to Ohio, baby. Frankie's getting married.
Getting married
Yes.
next year.
Man, I forgot about that, man. I got to get all drunk in front of Frankie. Oh, boy. I don't know what I don't think you're going to like the dude that shows up at the wedding, man. I don't have a limit, I think is the thing. Or my wife says I don't know how to drink in moderation or anything like that. So,
or wear clean underwear.
I mean that's small potatoes. So I mean that's irrelevant. But no, yeah, we got 2018 is going to be a great year. Frankie's getting married, and we're excited to be to go down there and be there for that. So that's going to be a good time. And it's 2018. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we're going to be right there for all of it. And we're going to try to keep bringing you the best content that we can, the content that you want, and that's why we do this. It's the only reason we do this, because we love talking video games, and we love having people that not only listen to what we talk about, but they'll actually reply and get involved in the conversation. So a lot of big plans for 2018. Can't wait to share them with you. But for the next couple of weeks, enjoy your time with your family, with friends, playing games. Enjoy the holidays, and have a great New Year. Be very, very safe out there. It's the winter time, and roads be getting bad. Michigan's going to be brutal, so it's just natural for me to say be careful in the winter. Even though in some places it's sunny and 80 right now.
California, it's like in the 60s, and they're freezing right now.
Yeah, they're so cold. I need a sweater. It's like 60. That's like shorts and a t-shirt for me. So. Yeah. But yeah, seriously, enjoy the holidays. Have a great time. Spend time with friends, family, and get some gaming into. I'm sure all of you will find time to get your gaming in. But from everybody here at Short Pause, from Bender, Frankie, Ben, Taz, myself, we wish you all a very happy holiday season, a happy New Year. Be very safe, and we're looking forward to talking to you again in 2018. Gentlemen, one last time, where can we find you gaming and tweeting? Franklin.
You can find me on Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, Nintendo Network at Viperstrike, VYPRSTRYKE.
Boyce.
As always, Brent, I will be not tweeting at Piccolo930. Of course, that's my PSN ID as well, where you can find me on the Switch behind some unruly friend code. And make sure you keep an eye on our YouTube channel as well. Even though the podcast won't be here for a couple weeks, there'll be stuff going up on there. So there'll be some videos, there'll be some indie spotlights. All that stuff's gonna keep going. So make sure you stay tuned, like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Short Pause Gaming on YouTube.
Boom. Bender.
You can find me on Twitter at Bender_guitar, on the PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network at me_Bender, and on Xbox Live at mebender82.
Great. You can find me on Twitter at TheDude1979, the Nintendo Network and PlayStation Network, TheDude79, and Xbox Live, The Real Dude 79. Make sure you visit the website, www.shortpause.com. Follow us on Twitter at The Short Pause. Like Mr. Boyce said, follow us on YouTube, Short Pause Gaming. That's the name of our Twitch channel and our Facebook page, Short Pause Gaming. Make sure you follow us there. You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, and Stitcher. If you enjoy this podcast, if you really, really enjoy it, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. Tell us why you love the show. If you're not quite ready to give us a 5-star rating, that's cool. No fake 5 stars. Come over to the website, go right into the comments, let us know your feedback, your criticism, your thoughts, anything. If you want to get nasty, that's cool. We can handle that. Podcast at shortpause.com. For Mr. Holt, Mr. Ayler, and Mr. Boyce, I'm Brent Fausting. Thanks again for listening and watching the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We'll see you in 2018. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.